Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ariel Helwani Show!
Back in your life on this Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. Hello again, everyone. I sure hope you're doing well. It's great to be here on a Wednesday. Hope life is treating you oh so very well, wherever you may be across this great world. And again, we are faced with one of those days that when I say them, I am taken back to a different time, a different era, a different period. This time, a historic date, a date that I think every MMA fan should know about. Do you know what happened 14 years ago today, my friends? March 19th, 2011, Newark, New Jersey, the Prudential Center, UFC 128. Do you remember what happened on that night? Johnny Bones Jones, just 23 years young, made history, becoming the youngest champion in UFC history, defeating Shogun Rua, and thus, you know, the rocket ship took off, right? It was an amazing couple of months for him. He has the win over Ryan Bader. In February, we find out that Rashad Evans, who was supposed to fight Shogun Rua for the belt as the challenger, was out. Rashad gives John, we think, the blessing. Build up to that fight. They say they'll never fight each other, but then all of a sudden, in an interview on Versus, they say they will fight each other, or at least John does, and then Rashad feels betrayed by it. And there's the fight, the legendary Shogun Rua, the former Pride Grand Prix winner, going up against the 23-year-old youngster who at that point we all kind of realized was something special, a phenom. He blew right through him. He became champion, and he hasn't lost since. It's really remarkable. 14 or so years. I say or so because he hasn't been active for those 14 years, but March 19th is a day that I always remember. I feel like a lot of big things are happening between like February and March. It seems to be a trend, or maybe just March. Why does it feel like these memories are all coming back on this particular month? Anyway, you all remember, or I think you remember, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're a newer fan and don't know about this story. Do you know the story about John Jones going to meditate the morning of the fight in Newark and then essentially taking down a pickpocketer, a robber, a mugger, if you will? Do you know this story? And when you're hearing this story, and when we started to hear about this story on the morning of the fight, we're like, is this guy for real? Is he straight out of the Today Show? Like, he's out of a promoter's fantasy. Young, incredibly talented, incredibly athletic, good-looking, undefeated, and he's taking down criminals the morning he makes history. Anyway, just to jog your memory, here's the press conference where he told us about the story. And by the way, you may notice that it says March 20th at the top of the screen. Well, that's because this technically happened past midnight, but it was on this night. It was March 19th. That's when 128 happened. And that's where this incident that he's talking about, that's when it happened as well. Take a listen.
Oh, here we go, guys. Put your seatbelts on. Yeah. All right, so this is what happened. I was hanging out at my bat cave on, right? And, okay, so check this out. We, one of my co-managers, his name is Glenn, and he has a family that lives here in the New Jersey area. So before my fights, I like to find a really beautiful site, whether it's the top of a mountain, next to a stream, anything gorgeous, nature-wise. I like to, associate nature with different levels of energy and all this. But anyways, that's a different topic. So we find a place in Paterson, New Jersey, where there's a bridge, and there's this very powerful waterfall, and there's almost like a little mountain. And it was beautiful, but around this waterfall and everything, it was a really ghetto area. And as the guy pulls us up in his car, he's like, I'm in the passenger seat, Greg, Jackson, and Winklejohn's in the back seat. He's like, listen, guys, before I drop you off here, I want to let you know this is a pretty bad neighborhood, so you might want to be careful. And I'm like, dude, we're all MMA guys. And he's like, well, I'm just letting you know, a lot of people get mugged here. Just as he said that, I turned to pull off my seatbelt, and the guy, I see an old Spanish couple like screaming, and they're like running. They look like they're out of breath big time. And I'm like, dude, they just got mugged. And he's like, no. And I'm like, maybe not, I'm tripping. And you just put that in my mind. So Mike Winklejohn hops out of the car, and he's like, you guys okay? And then she's like, the guy he just broke my window open, and he took all my stuff, and he's running. And so I'm like, what? So Mike Winkeljohn, without hesitation, he just starts running, right? And I'm like, holy crap. And then Greg Jackson, he just starts running, and they both start running. So I'm like, what is happening right now?
This is the best part.
So next thing you know, I have like sweatpants on, I have an iPod and my Droid X, my wallet. I'm like, what is, like, where am I? What's going on? So I'm like, okay, it's time for me to take action. So I take my hands in my pockets, I throw my stuff on the floor, and I tell our driver, I'm like, dude, take care of my stuff. And I throw it on the floor, and I just start running, right? And you know I got these gazelle legs, so I'm running, right? And I'm running, and next thing you know, I catch up to my coaches, and I'm jogging, and they're just sprinting, right? I'm like, so what are we doing? We gonna catch this guy? And he's like, John, you get back. He's like trying to swim move me, like get over me. He's like, get back. You don't need to be involved with this, right? And I'm like, nah, Coach, God, trust me, man. I'll be okay. So then I put the Jets on. I went TO on him. So I put the Jets on, and I catch up to the guy. I'm like, how you doing? You think you're gonna? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. So anyway, so the guy, I'm like closing in on this guy, like 20 yards away. And the guy's like, you can see that he's starting to get winded. So he's like, he got this stuff and he's running. And he looks back and he usually sees me, 6'4". You got Greg and Wink like UFC behind us. Yeah, Greg and Wink's behind me and I'm just running like, I'm gonna catch you, right? So the guy looks back and then he trips over his own foot. And so at the time he tripped over his own foot, I got so scared because I didn't know what I was gonna do when I actually caught him. So I actually started barking like, I'm gonna get you, like,
Anyway, that's a part of the story, and I remember being back there, and he talks about, taking him down and holding him down as the cops came. I remember being in the back, standing back there at the Prudential Center and thinking to myself, this guy is a dream. I mean, that smile, that charisma, the way he's telling the story. He just beat up Shogun Rua to become the youngest champion in UFC history, a record, by the way, that still stands. Many have said, I'm going to be the one to break it. None have come close, if we're being 100% honest. None have come close. And here he is telling the story, and he becomes a gigantic star, and it was just a very memorable time. And obviously, what a career, what a story. It's one that we'll talk about for many years. And when I say the story, I don't just mean the story of that day, the story of his career. What I'll probably remember most about that evening is what Dana White said to me in our post-fight interview, which is a clip that was used to promote Jones DC2. They took this exact clip as perhaps some foreshadowing of what's to come, or perhaps some insight into maybe what Dana was feeling, or what he saw was coming, or what he thought he saw was coming. Who knows? Anyway, it proved to be somewhat prophetic. Take a listen to what Dana had to say.
Here's the thing. John Jones got through a tough test tonight and passed with flying colors. The real challenge starts now. When you become the UFC champion and you have the charisma and the personality and all the things that John Jones has, this kid looks like he could be a breakthrough star that appeals to many different people. But this is where the real challenge begins. Every scumbag, dirtball, what I call Klingons, all the Klingons, the barnacles, they're probably trying to glom onto him right now as he's trying to walk to his car and go back to the hotel. Here's where the real challenge begins. And he seems to be a grounded kid, smart guy, has a good family around him and people that, care about him. So hopefully he can get through the nastiness that's going to come at him over the next several months.
Scumbag, Klingon, barnacle. This all seems... Does this seem familiar? Does this seem like someone we know? Sounds like... what's this? Oh, that's... Oh, thanks, Andy. This is a tweet from Mohammed Bing Ankalaev, a.k.a. Magomed Ankalaev, who apparently has changed his name, tweeting me yesterday after I applauded his tweet saying, Alex, when you're ready to go again, you deserve this. I don't like this fake big nose guy. I'm going to block him, which he did. And, of course, we know that that's not him writing that. Magomed's a good guy, salt of the earth guy. That's, of course, his manager, Ali, who still... is keeping up with this feud with me 6 years running. 2019. We used to talk on the phone all the time. He used to call me like literally 5-6 times a day, ask me about World Series of Fighting and all the other stuff that's going on in his life. But then when I got to ESPN and he realized, hey, wait a minute, it's actually better to not be on my quote-unquote side and be against me, to curry favor with his boss, Dana White, he did this whole thing where he turned on me. And so there he is, still tweeting me all these years later, my old friend Ali. Ali, the kind of guy that you want on your side, the kind of guy that you want in your corner, the kind of guy that, like he'll be, he'll be at all your fights. He'll be in the cage after your fights. You're fighting in London, he'll be there. You're fighting in Mexico City, he'll be there. You're fighting in Dubai, in Saudi Arabia, he'll be there. He'll get on a plane and he will, leave the country to be there for you, to be by your side. He will be there to support you. He's that kind of manager, and he's maybe the kind of guy that Dana was talking about. I don't know, or maybe not, but that's the thing I respect the most about him. Like he'll get on that plane, he'll leave the country, and he'll be able to be in your corner, on your side, wherever you may be fighting. So he does deserve a lot of credit for that. Anyway, all of this kind of reminded me of, March 19th and the Klingons and the people and all that stuff. So it's a crazy, crazy world, but happy anniversary to the great Jon Jones, who made history 14 years ago today. We shall make history on today's program, my friends, because we'll have an announcement of sorts at around 2:15 regarding a combat sports promotion and some broadcast home for them that will be announced. So stay tuned for that. Following that announcement, we will be joined by perhaps the most decorated heavyweight in all of combat sports, the reigning defending glory heavyweight champion, the one and only Rico Verhoeven. It's always great to talk to him. He has a few things to share with us, so stay tuned for that. Following that chat, we will be joined by Cory Sandhagen, one of our favorites. And I was trying to think, is this Cory Sandhagen's first time in the new era? I think it might be, because his last fight was in August. And unless he popped up, he might have popped up before in the fall. He might have popped up. But I don't think so. Maybe not. Anyway, good to talk to him. And of course, he now has a date. If you follow him on social media, you will know that he's been itching to get back in there. Well, he has a date. He is headlining once again. It's on May 3rd, UFC Des Moines. We've been all about UFC Des Moines on the program this week. Lots of chatter regarding it, and it's a sneaky, sneaky, sneaky good card. The headliner is Cory Sandhagen versus Deiveson Figueiredo at 135 pounds, 5-round fight. So we'll talk to him about that. And then what about 315? Oh, yes, where the pride of the University of Georgia, the pride of the Atlanta Falcons, one of the most popular professional wrestlers of the last 2-3 decades, perhaps of all time. At one time, the face of World Championship Wrestling, a WWE Hall of Famer, a legend who last competed in 2022, and as he approaches 60, says he has one more left in him. The great Bill Goldberg will join us. Yes, Goldberg. One of the great entrances. The knock, the walkout, the pyro. Actually, when my kids were into wrestling for like 8 months in 2020, 2021, Goldberg was my oldest son's favorite. Had the toys, had the shirts, played with him in the video game. And I don't think I ever told him that, but he loved them. And so actually my kids were very excited when I did tell them that Big Bill will be joining us on today's program. But on Wednesdays, we like to shoot. We like to answer some questions. We have a bunch of questions on the Substack. So without further ado, time now for everyone's favorite segment of the week. It's a weird thing. It always is perfect when we rehearse it, but then live on the show, it goes, why does it do that?
I think it's the brakes.
You think it's the brakes?
Yeah, it dims the brakes.
Oh, got it. All right, well, there you have it. On the nose time. Let's answer some questions, and hopefully we could get some hard-hitting ones. Some of the fans, I think, like the fun ones, and then some of them don't. I don't know. I don't write the questions. I just answer them. Shall we? We shall. Lex, hi, Ariel. I have seen you do the thing recently where you drop hints indirectly, and recently you've been talking about Aspinall Jones and how more likely you think it's going to happen given it's a renegotiation year, and that Jones needs 6 months, and that there was talks of August. Be honest with us, Mr. Helwani, what do you know? I saw that a couple of sites, I think it was Happy Punch and another, ran with the 6-month thing that I said yesterday. No, they ran with it yesterday, and I said it last week, more than a week ago. I don't know how that came up. Listen, I tell you guys what I know, and we all know that they want to make the fight. We all know that Aspinall is in. And I don't need to be some kind of insider to tell you this. He has said it himself. We all know that he's meeting with the brass this week in London. We know that John Jones is in at a certain price. We believe that price is in the vicinity of $30 million. We all agree that he is worth that price. We all agree that they should make that fight and pay him that amount of money. And I personally think that in a time period where they're trying to drum up interest and buzz and hype as they, they take their U.S. broadcast rights to the market, I believe having a fight like that is very beneficial. Does it happen in August? Does it happen in October? Does it happen in November here in New York City? That remains to be seen. But it is not a done deal, and I'm not trying to be coy. This isn't one of those things where I know it's a done deal and I'm trying to get ahead of it. It's not one of those things. I'm just telling you what I know in real time. I can also imagine that at some point, Tom Aspinall's patience going to wear thin. When can we start to have the conversation that this guy's career has been somewhat stalled and derailed because of this? Are we there yet?
We've been there.
We've been there.
Yes. Yeah.
It's past time.
It's past. If I'm Tom Aspinall, how old is Tom Aspinall? 31? How old is he? 31. He turns 32 in April.
By the way, when we think about conversations like this, we were ready to have that conversation about Michael Chandler the moment it was announced that he would even be talking about Conor McGregor. People were rushing to have that type of conversation. Yeah, I think we're way past expiration on the idea of waiting for John Jones is a fool's errand at a certain
Just
point.
to refresh your memory, he injures his knee in July of 2022. He's out the whole year. He comes back exactly a year later, almost to the day. He beats Marcin Tybura. He had nothing on the books after that, but then you got the Jones injury. They call him 2 weeks prior. He beats Sergey Pavlovich. That's in November of 23. So he gets 2 fights in 23. That's not bad. That's kind of, on par. His next fight after November of 23 is July of 24. Okay, I don't think that's crazy, right? That's 8 months later. That's kind of on par with the top dogs. He's got nothing on the books now. We are approaching, it will be a year. There's no way he fights before July. I would be shocked. Unless they pull a rabbit out of their hat and they put him on International Fight Week, I would be truly shocked. So he will have sat out a year. He fought for a minute against Curtis Blades. He fought for 69 seconds against Sergey Pavlovich. He fought for 73 seconds against Marcin Tybura. Since he injured his knee, which, by the way, was a 15-second fight, he has fought for less than 4 minutes combined in 3 fights since July of 2022. This is a travesty. This is a travesty. The guy needs to fight. We gotta figure this out. And at what point does the UFC say, all right, we're not going to meet your number. We're going to move on. We're going to take the belt away. And if you want to come back or if something tickles your fancy, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not here saying they need to do X, Y, and Z by X, Y, and Z date, but it feels like we are inching closer. And if I'm Tom and his father and his team, I'm saying how much longer? I'm sitting down at this meeting this weekend and being like, what's the plan, guys? What are we doing here? Could we set some kind of deadline? Could we set some kind of markers? If we are not close by June, can we move on? Can I move on?
Now, do you think that Tom wants to move on?
Absolutely. No, I think Tom wants to fight John Jones. But I also think that he doesn't want to sit around forever.
Yeah.
He's not going to do the 2-year thing. There's no way. He's in his prime. You could make a case that Chandler wasn't in his prime, so he could afford to sit out. He was.
Plus, we're talking Conor McGregor. It's a different.
We're also talking
different level.
Big money fight versus just trying to get the undisputed belt.
I think it'll be a huge fight. It's not Conor, but my sense of it.
Close.
Do you think it's the closest you can get at this moment? If you were Tom Aspinall and you went to the UFC yesterday and said, "All right, look, I'm tired of waiting for John Jones. Give me another fight. You don't think they would have already given it to him?
No, okay. So this is where the detractors will push back. They'll say, well, Tom did say that he's not fighting unless it's for the undisputed title. Because I think the UFC would then say, oh, yeah, you could fight, but you'll just have to defend your interim belt. You know what I mean? So he is putting one kind of stipulation on there. And by the way, I think he has every right to.
It's a fair one.
This is a negotiation.
Yep.
And he's saying, like, I'm not going to be your interim champ, which, by the way, you see in Joseph Parker has been the interim champ for God knows how long. And it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
Can I ask a question, Ariel?
Yeah, go ahead.
Nice hat, I'm wondering, right? Thank you. Love my boys.
Yeah.
Just want to know what you think of this. Do you think the UFC are reluctant to make any big moves with John? Like, I mean, as far as the conversation was going, if this keeps going, right, we're saying, will they force Jones to vacate the title so Tom can fight someone else for the undisputed, like, you know, for the title? I'm wondering, do you think they are reluctant to do that with the broadcast deal coming up? They want to have John Jones. They want to be able to pitch John Jones to these potential suitors. They don't want to make a drastic move in case he goes away completely.
In other words, are you saying, are they trying to save John for when the new deal kicks in?
Not
or
necessarily.
they just don't want to alienate him.
He wants John on side. He's saying keep John on side by making him happy.
Don't make a drastic move. We want to be able to pitch this guy to don't in July say, right, well, if you're not going to fight him, we're stripping you. Tom is fighting Marcin Tybura again. You know, they want to keep him on side to a certain degree because they don't want to rock the boat because they want to dangle him as a carrot to these potential broadcast partners.
Can I say, I think that they believe he only has 1 or 2 left max. And so I don't think that they are worried about that. I think that kind of thinking applies more to McGregor. You know what I mean? Like, McGregor has 2 fights left. He's younger. I think they would prefer to keep him on ice. I think with John, they know they only have 1 or 2 left. And so they're not pushing him right now, to the best of my knowledge, by the way. To the best of my knowledge, it's just kind of been like a stalemate. You know what I mean? And at some point, the rubber is going to have to meet the road and someone's going to have to make a call. But as we've said time and again, they don't necessarily have to make that call just yet. They are not in a position where they're desperate. They're not in a position where I think Aspinall is making them make a call, setting some kind of deadline, ultimatum. They're not there just yet. And so that's the question I was bringing up earlier. When do we get to that point? When does that point actually commence?
You've said it perfectly. Like, Aspinall is not forcing them to make that call, but also the UFC knows that Aspinall is the easier one to make amends with if they need to, right? With John Jones, you've got a quantity that you're trying to grab a hold of, but he could just as easily go away. So you have to be very careful. It's a deer, you know, like, you don't want to spook it. You have to keep John Jones on side, and you have to handle this very delicately, because if he goes away, that's gone now. Now that's out of the window, and you have to go with the other plan. Tom Aspinall, they can make amends with him. He's the one who's ready to sign up. Do it right now. Easy to work with. Like, there's nothing to worry about on that side. You only have to kind of manage this side. The part you have to manage with Aspinall is, like, if he goes, I want to fight and I only want to fight for undisputed, like you're saying, Ariel, that is now, you do have a conundrum on your hands where you do have to figure that out. Do we risk upsetting John Jones in order to empower this champion who's ready and willing and able to fight for us? It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would say 100% yes. I'm not sure I'd rush to do it, but it's a tricky one.
From a historical perspective, it's amazing because historically the UFC has pretty much made all the big fights, except in one weight class. Like, dating back to, Couture and Fedor, Jones and Ngannou. There was the Lesnar-Fedor stuff. This particular fight, it's weird that everything kind of like goes to the heavyweight division. And I'm not saying that the heavyweight division is the glamour division of the UFC. It's never been. In fact, because of John Jones, it was probably light heavyweight. And prior to that, of course, with Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz, light heavyweight always felt like our heavyweight division, if you get what I'm saying. It is amazing, though. They have been able, and yes, there are some outliers here and there. For the most part, at 170, GSP fought everyone, including Nick Diaz, including BJ Penn again, et cetera, et cetera. At 185, Anderson Silva fought everyone that was available. Now, there was the Anderson GSP fight that people always talked about, but there was 15 pounds between them, and I don't think GSP ever really wanted that fight. And you could say the same at featherweight with Aldo and McGregor, but at heavyweight, for whatever reason, it has proven to be a tricky one.
I think I have a reason. It may be an oversimplification, and maybe this is devoid of the context at the times, but there is a limited talent pool. And when you have a limited talent pool, it is a lot harder to make compelling matchups. And therefore, the people in those matchups can demand a higher price tag. When you've got featherweight and you've got 10 guys who you could conceivably say are great and you'd want to watch fight for a title, that's different than when you're going, shit, there really aren't a lot of heavyweights. Because if you can name somebody outside of John or Tom who could draw $1, I'd be shocked. It just does not. It's a very limited talent pool, especially right now. Like I don't think heavyweight's ever been more desolate. And so you're looking around and going, if I'm John Jones or Tom Aspinall, I'm super valuable. Or Francis Ngannou previously, I'm super valuable, and I should be paid as such to make this big fight happen.
Heavyweights are also kind of like they're larger than life. They have big egos. That's just the way it is. They're the big dogs. They're the alpha males, and so let's see in this era where the UFC is getting into boxing. And when I say the UFC, I mean Dana White and the TKO brass, and they talk about making the big fights. Can they make this big one?
Will Tom Aspinall's
under their roof
next fight be for undisputed heavyweight?
Has to be.
Well, the tougher question to answer is, will it be against John Jones?
Why?
Because I think the next time we see him fight, he will have. I think Aspinall's going to stick to his guns, and I think the next time we see him fight, it will be for that title. The question is he fighting against John Jones?
Honestly, I find that compelling. Because that would mean that something happened with the John Jones side of it, and I'd be interested in that too. So if you think that his next fight will be for undisputed heavyweight gold, I'm compelled by that.
What worries me is that they say we're saving this for New York, and
give
now
themselves more time to kind of.
Well, yeah, and Aspinall has to wait another 8 months. That's in 8 months.
But do they say we're saving it for New York to actually have it happen in New York, or to save the time and say?
No, you know them. They earmark dates. John Stipe could have happened before New York, but they wanted it for MSG. They sometimes they don't care about Tom's
dangerous game
timeline. They don't care about that timeline at all. They have things laid out, and they want certain fights in certain places, and that worries me because if they tell Tom, please just sit tight. You are getting this fight. You're just going to have to wait a couple months. And then he waits those months, and then it doesn't happen. Sound familiar? Chandler McGregor? And then what does he do? Now he's staring at, being 32 and wasting prime years of his life.
I think that would be a good point to say, we cannot hold this any longer. That would be the point for me.
Kevin from Ottawa. Hey, guys. With all the talk around the Apex, would you rather watch UFC 314 if it was in the Apex or watch Emmett Murphy if it was in an arena?
Interesting. This is an interesting
Putting
question.
us to the test here.
Yeah.
What's the point that he's trying to prove
It'd
here?
have to be 314.
Of course, the card is better.
Yeah,
but it's still being a shitty setting.
Yeah, and also we're never going to get a 314 in the Apex. The quality of Apex cards matches the venue.
Right.
But his point is the quality of the Apex. The problem is not only the atmosphere. The problem is the atmosphere and what has become the standard card quality. And I continue to make. I know you and I differ a little bit on how much the atmosphere matters. Like I'm not nearly as sold on it as you in terms of like that's the make or break. I care more about, to Connor's point, that fight would never happen in an Apex because it's too good a quality card, and they have determined the Apex is only for lesser quality cards. I would watch.
I guess what he's trying to say is if it's a super stat card in the Apex,
you're still going to enjoy it.
Begrudgingly.
I will.
I will be very, very,
No. The fights would be great, but I would be sitting on my couch the entire time.
Annoyed.
Like, why the fuck is this in the Apex?
Annoyed. And thinking, you know how much better it would be if it was in front of 18
better.
Here's the good news. Here's the good news. We don't have to do it at the Apex.
Yeah.
We just don't have to do that. They can do an entire calendar where it's in front of crowds. They've done it for years and years.
You know what
So
also
that's a
doesn't
good
get
one.
brought up enough? When people say like, oh, it's a lot of shows and this and that. Do you know WWE travels 3 times a week? They do 3 televised events a week in different parts of the world. They have Raw on Mondays, somewhere they're in Belgium. They have NXT, which sometimes is at the venue that they have the Full Sail and all. But they've taken. It was at the theater last week, and then SmackDown is in another arena. They do this 3 times a week. Oh, by the way, once a month there's a PLE in a different arena as well. Like this. This idea that it can't be done once a week. They do that, by the way, 52 times. Like there's no week off. We get 43. It's crazy. They could easily do it. And they're easily popular enough to be able to pull it off and sell a lot of tickets.
And they've done it. And they've done it. I'm looking at 2019. Stockholm, Rochester, Rio de Janeiro, Ottawa, St. Petersburg, Russia, Atlanta, Philly, Nashville, London, Wichita, Las Vegas, Prague. They went to the Czech Republic. This is just the first half of the year. Phoenix, Brazil, Anaheim. Every single week.
Every single week.
That bottom line was a lot different than it is right now.
Connor from Canada. Hey, Ariel, is it possible the UFC actually doesn't mind not having a huge megastar? Connor is bigger than the UFC and has been for a while, but maybe they don't like stars having that much power, sway, and want them to have to rely on the UFC, not the other way around. I mean, we've talked about this to a degree. They don't want anyone to get the type of power and leverage that Connor had back in 2016-17. That's very, very, very clear. But of course they want stars. Like they're happy to have Ilia Topuria. They're happy to have Alex Pereira. You just, as The Rock once said, you got to know your role and shut your mouth. That's the bottom line. White Whale, Holy Grail, Shalom, Uncle Helwani. Yeah. I keep hearing MMA folks say that the GFL isn't real, but I checked Tapology and saw that the Gladiadores Fight League has already had 8 events. On a serious note, I remember they were aiming for their first event in April. Now that we're just a month away, do you think this will actually happen? Not in April. When can we expect a real announcement? Are you still waiting to see how it unfolds, or do you have some inside info? I've been protecting my neck all this time, but I should have been protecting my heart because it's broken.
That's pretty good.
Look, it went from April to the Mother's Day weekend, May 11th, 12th, back to back. Now starting to hear that it might get pushed. I don't know, man. Should we play the game that we played, GC, a couple of days ago about this?
Remind me of the rules.
I believe it was with you. Maybe I'm dreaming.
I think it was me.
Was it with you? Sorry. I equate you with betting. I set the line 1.5 events.
Over under GFL has 1.5 events.
I don't want to do this. I'm telling you I don't want to do this, but I just have to be real.
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to take the over.
Let's take the over.
I think we get like 4. But I'm going to sprinkle on the alt line under half an event. They just have 0. You get that to me like plus 300, I'm going to sprinkle. Plus 500.
He's actually it.
I
honestly feel like the spring, like that's going to be the highest odds option. Like you might have to sprinkle on the over.
Give me the under a half alt line at like plus 400, and then also I will take like 5+ events at like plus 500 as well. Just so like
there's so many red flags.
I just think if they do one, they're gonna do a few, and then it could piss a lot.
By the way, I think that's right. I agree with that. If they get one off the ground, I think there will be a few.
Deal, a few is a few.
We're talking.
Can we buy the song? Can we buy the song if they don't use it?
Yeah, that should be the new.
We can make our own AI song.
Yeah.
Someone asked me.
AI.
Someone said to me, "I'm disappointed." Yeah.
Do you think they use this on the first event?
Fuck yeah.
100%.
Are you crazy?
Play it 10 times in the first 10 minutes.
That's their theme song.
Every song, every fighter also has to walk out to it.
That's like their version of...
and their own AI plays on the screen.
You know that song that they play at the beginning of the UFC walkouts?
Yeah.
That's their version. Someone said to me, I'm disappointed that you didn't ask Jeremy Stevens about, how he was able to sign with the UFC since he's, a GFL fighter. And the truth is, I thought of it. I don't want to go through the awkward exercise of seeing him just be like, I don't, like it's not a thing. You know what I mean?
I'm just waiting on my fight news.
Yeah.
They said I could sign with the UFC.
Exactly. They gave me the green light. James, hola Ariel. I'm a Travis Scott fan, but didn't enjoy his involvement at Elimination Chamber, mainly because he was just standing around. Don't you think he should be showing more energy going forward? Can I say something? On this show and on every other piece of content that I saw related to John Cena's, big, reemergence on Monday in Brussels, I didn't see one person, and I didn't even think of it until James mentioned it, say, wait a second, how does Travis fit into all this again? You know what I mean? Like, he never explained that. Travis wasn't there. Like the Travis Scott thing just happened, and I'm sure they'll figure out a way to bring him back, and he'll probably be at WrestleMania and whatnot. But as time has gone on, it has seemed to be like a little bit clunky, no? Like there's just been no explanation whatsoever.
I forgot he was there. I forgot he was there until that question was
there
asked.
Okay, so when he says he was standing around, is he talking about the time where he slapped Cody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which he was standing around.
And then after that, he has not been seen.
Not only has he not been seen, like his presence has never even been brought up.
Okay, got it.
And you would think John would say something about him.
Yeah, and also weren't people calling them like the new, like there's like a name?
NWO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they even bring him up when he was standing there?
Well, no, he was brought up like when he was there, but like in the subsequent shows. Oh, and how could Travis Scott do this to Cody? Like nothing.
Yeah,
it just kind of happened.
He'll pop up at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
he'll spear someone, and they'll be like, "Oh, Travis Scott,
he did it." Sean Plant. Hello, Ariel and the boys. Do you all think Sugar Shane, perhaps he means Sugar Sean, will move up weight if he isn't able to regain his title from Marab?
I hope he means Sugar Sean.
Yeah.
Shane Mosley's not ready.
No. Well, it's Sugar. Will he move up to 145? I don't think. I mean, maybe. Maybe if he feels at that point he's not going to get a shot at the belt again.
He's got the height.
Sugar versus Ilya would have been fun.
Yeah, they seem to be building toward that. Now neither is the champ of those divisions, but
he follows that up with, how would he contend against some of the top featherweights, regardless of title contention? I think some of the matchups there are fireworks for him. Jean Silva, Diego Lopez, Josh Emmett. Yeah, you're right.
Evloev be a problem.
Yeah,
you get
Sugar
to the
versus
grappling.
Yair would be fun.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I don't think O'Malley looked that deficient in the grappling against Marab, like to the point that I'm going automatically. Anybody at 45 is going to be able to take him down. I'm interested. I think there's, but by the way, I think there's compelling matchups still for him at 35. I'm not rushing him up there either, but I think there's 35 and 45 options for him that I'd be excited.
We got to see what happens in the rematch.
Yeah,
Sugar State Athletic Commission scored it for Sean.
We should find out something very soon. I mean, there's still that June 7th pay-per-view that's not accounted for just yet. So I feel like we're in a two and a half month out range where they're announcing the main events now. So let's see. Maybe he'll be on that one. Here's Armac. Hi, lads. Hello from Dublin. I'll be going to my first UFC event in London this weekend, and with no family or friends really into MMA enough to pay the very high ticket price, I'm going over on my own. Any advice for a solo attendee at a UFC event? I can't say I've ever been in those shoes. No, listen, you're going to have fun. You're going to be around fellow MMA fans. You sit there, go from the first fight, obviously, take it all in, get your money's worth, and you'll have a grand old time. Really not much more to it. He does add, P.S. shout out to Pizzi for all his coverage on Irish MMA-related news. He's handled some very complicated and sensitive non-sport related topics with a lot of decorum. He's done a great job reporting on a certain inactive fighter fairly when many, including myself, would be unable to disguise our personal feelings towards the man. I must say, PT, we have put you in some tough spots since the launch of you have had to handle, like, here I am asking you about, like civil lawsuits, about, the elections on the spot. What else? What else have we asked you about? Like, I mean, some real conundrums as this
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse? No, that was before. That was a year ago.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks very much. It's never a dull moment covering that retired fighter.
Matt Chawiwis, Ariel and crew, happy National Automatic Door Day. Wow, that's a good one. Who doesn't love a good automatic door? How do you think John Jones's legacy would be affected if he loses to Tom Aspinall in a potential unification fight this year? Do you think he would opt for an instant rematch, or would he just say bye Felicia and sail off into the sunset? Should he win, who else is there out there for him? That's a challenge now that Alex has shown some weaknesses. Either way, I'm thinking when one door closes, another one opens, whatever the outcome. I think he probably tries to get it back. And look, I think we're getting, let's set the line at 1.5 fights for John Jones left. I don't think there's many left. I mean,
can I ask what
14 years
ago? What do you think be worse? What do you think be worse, legacy-wise? If he didn't fight him at all, or if he fought him and he lost?
Lost, for sure.
Yeah.
Because look,
That's the way he's looking at it, though, right?
8, 9, 10 years from now, no one will remember this. But they'll look and say he lost his last fight. If he could potentially go this entire time and be undefeated, it's the greatest resume of all time. And yes, I know Khabib was undefeated, but like, please, let's just compare the title defenses. I mean, you're absolutely insane if you compare the two.
The Matt Hamill erasure is also not, come on.
What do you mean? Are you being cheeky here?
Yeah.
Okay.
If he beats Tom Aspinall, then he's technically 30-0.
If he beats Tom, it's the greatest. I mean, it's already the greatest. If he loses in his last fight, it changes a lot.
Having that O, even though it's obviously not technically an O, is very important. And by the way, the justification for why Jon Jones should be able to demand exactly the amount of money that he wants to take that risk, because Tom Aspinall is a bad mother effer, and you should be paid appropriately to take the risk to fight that guy and put your legacy on the line. So I think a loss would be pretty damaging to the resume as opposed to just walking away now. To Ariel's point, memories are short. People will start the TikTok videos of, yo, you didn't know about Jon Jones, and all of a sudden everybody will just forget the end of it. A loss would be bad. So pay him to take that risk.
A lot of Jon Jones questions this week. I like this. This is fun. Mr. Clean.
Real quick.
Yes?
If today really is National Automatic Day, or Automatic Door Day,
yes.
Bone to pay.
Yes.
Connor and I were leaving the Yahoo the other day, and I ran smack dab into a door that was allegedly automatic and didn't open. So, of course, we had a good laugh, but then the next day there were technicians working on the door, and I'm like, oh, God, did I break the door? I think the actual narrative here is that it has been broken for a while and they haven't told anyone, so I just ran into it. So if today is National Automatic Day, please calibrate those things. People might run into them.
Sure.
National Automatic, leaving the Yahoo.
Yeah.
Frank was fully looking at me while he was talking, and he just
walked right into it.
I am talking. Just
shouldn't it open?
Shouldered it.
It's supposed to be automatic.
So there's the two automatic doors. Only one opened, and the one that stayed, Frank it was bad.
I'm going to come to Frank's
thing shaking.
It's tough.
I'm going to come to Frank's defense.
It was tough.
That door's been broken. I have also walked into it.
Wow.
But nobody was around, thankfully.
Never happened to me. You guys are you're on your phone too much. You're looking down. You're not focused.
Where there's a blame, there's a claim. Where there's a blame, there's a claim, lads. That's all I'm going to say to you.
Right, little magic together.
Drop and roll.
You'll walk into it when you're here in July, Pizza.
I'll be on the ground. Oh, no, that's it. Someone call a lawyer quickly.
No. Yahoo doesn't have workers' comp.
Mr. Clean, question for everyone. At this point, it's looking like Jones is pricing himself out of the Aspinall fight, or possibly the Pereira fight was holding things up, and now that he's lost, they have just started actual negotiations. Not true. Or perhaps John doesn't care Pereira lost and still wants a Pereira fight. Who knows? I think that was more like just negotiation. Anyway, personally, I think John is the GOAT either way, but my question is, what do you guys think actually hurts John's legacy more? If he fights Aspinall, did I read this already?
No, PT proposed it, but it's the same question.
If he fights Aspinall and loses a close fight, not fighting him at all, and retiring without another fight or a third option. Okay, so we answered this.
Yeah.
This guy's really smart.
Yeah,
Jeez,
wow.
What a question.
What timing. All of a sudden, I'm reading this. I'm like, this sounds
PT
very
didn't
familiar.
think you'd select it, so he asked it ahead of time.
Thank you. Ariel, to add to the argument that the UFC has too few stars, I just bought a blaster box of Topps UFC Finest to open during this weekend's card. What a waste of money. The most notable fighter card I got was a green glitter refractor Chelsea Chandler and a numbered Jack Jevons. WTF. Q, GC, are you still ripping packs? Thank you. Love the show.
I mean, the green glitter Chelsea Chandler, that's
awful.
Tough. That's hard to handle. I mean, especially who knows how much he spent on that pack. That's tough to swallow when you get that. I've ripped open many a packs where it was you get a couple Sungwoo Choi's in there, and that's your best offering. No, not ripping packs anymore.
Why not?
The uncrowned, we had to tighten up the belt a little bit.
By the way, that's not true.
Guys,
I gave you a few packs back in the day. You didn't ask.
You did.
Yeah. I actually have
ripped them all.
I have a few boxes just lying around.
Oh, come on. Watch party. We'll rip them open.
No one asked.
You can have all the proceeds can go back to you.
Proceeds of what? Are packs, like, are the cards that valuable?
No.
Are they still, the whole thing has died?
Not UFC. No. Other ones are booming. There's a couple UFC ones that are worth something. I'd love to. Yeah, bring them in. We'll open them on the.
Do you think it's like was it just like a weird post-pandemic fad or what?
I don't know. I think people still love it. I just don't think the UFC ones hold the same value as football, basketball, soccer.
All right.
And there's like few and far between that are really worth something.
Right.
I can tell you the green glitter Chelsea Chandler, keep your day job.
Yeah.
Keep your day job.
Zach, hello, Ariel and the boys. Continuing on the celebration. And by the way, shout out to Kevin Durant, speaking of the boys. Did you guys see this?
Yeah, KD trade 35. Baby.
Yo, did you guys see Kevin Durant? Big fan of the boys in the back. Tweeting about it. Never seen you a day in my life. You're a BITB bought in the basement. This to a troll talking smack to him earlier today or yesterday. How do we feel about KD using BITB?
Well, he obviously took it from an inspiration after seeing our tweets saying BITB, new BITB.
Maybe he's a fan of the show.
I think he's a fan of the show, and actually this was paying homage to us, so other fans of the show would get it. Like, you're a BITB, not a boy in the back, a bot in the basement.
It's not bad.
Is KD an honorary BITB now at this point?
Hell yeah.
Do we?
I think so.
All right.
Let's hang up a Kevin Durant. Let's hang up a Kevin Durant Sonics jersey on the wall in a frame with the tweet on it.
All right.
Zach, hello, Ariel and the boys. Continuing on the celebration of Irish heritage this week, my school, the St. Mary's Gales, the name is derived from when our basketball team was once full of Irishmen, will be competing in March Madness yet again. Is my guy Pizzi aware of us? And if so, will he be rooting for us to make a run in the tournament? Thank you and go Gales.
Always supporting the Gales, especially St. Mary's Gales, of course. As you say this, I've just been reminded that Ben Stark emailed me saying I need to join the March Madness. And
you have not done so.
I have not done that. I'm sorry, Ben. That just came into my head right now. But if I do, I'll be picking the St. Mary's Gales.
Well, you got to do it.
You still got a day.
Yeah, we got a day.
Oh, do I?
Yeah,
come on.
It doesn't start till tomorrow.
You got 24 hours, and that is a good reminder. You can join the uncrowned, what do we call it? Bracket Mayhem? A group, yes.
Is this what you guys were talking about the other night? I had no idea what you were talking about. I was like, what is this?
What are you talking about? 68 teams, well, now 64, and it all kicks off.
66.
Is it 60? Well, okay, after today, right?
Yeah, and then after today.
Yep. There is nothing like that 12 o'clock tip on Thursday.
Let's go St. Mary's.
It hits better than the Friday one. The 12 o'clock tip, when it's just about to start, I mean, I used to go home at lunch to watch it. My kids are getting into the bracket stuff. I am so excited about this. I'm rooting for St. John's. My Orange are not in it this year. Of course, GC very excited that his dogs are in it first time in 10 years.
So 10 years.
I'm going to do my bracket tonight. I was waiting, but I'm very, very excited. And so I urge everyone. How can they sign up? Can we put it in
I'm putting it in the chat right now.
Thank you.
You're the man, GC.
And the winner. We'll get a Helwani merch package, right, of some sort, a care package of some kind,
and bragging rights, obviously.
And I mean, most important,
we're all going to be in there as well. It's going to be great.
I'm going to get smoked.
We already got like 170 people in there. It's good stuff. I'm not going to get smoked. Georgia, Florida final. Georgia national champions.
Oh, is that it?
That's the one.
What's your final four?
Georgia, Florida. Michigan State, maybe. And then,
Johnny's?
Duke in it? Duke?
Johnny's? No Johnny's?
Nah, no Johnny's. I went with Florida over. Yeah. Georgia, Florida national championship, though.
Jesse, Ariel, are you able to take us through a story/report from the past to let us know how you process the information with multiple sources and validate a report? I mean, it's all very different. You'd probably have to ask me about a specific one. You know, obviously the Brock Lesnar one, very notable. That one happened. We were in Inglewood, UFC 199. Got the tip on a Thursday phone call. Asked around Friday. Got the multiple confirmations Saturday. You know that first fight? You know the first fight of UFC 199 was was it Dong Young Kim? What's the first fight? It's a crazy fight. UFC 199. The first fight is a very memorable fight.
It was Marco Polo Reyes and Dong Hyun Ma.
Yes, everyone loved that fight.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I remember I did not I did not make it in time to the arena because I was writing the story, believe it or not, while wearing a towel and coming out of the shower, and I was late, and I wanted to write it before I got to the venue for whatever reason, because it was obviously gigantic. And so I only got there, I think, for the second fight or the third fight, because I still had to like actually get to the arena and whatnot. You don't care about those details, but basically, unless someone is going to tell you on the record, like, I am telling you this, I, Dana White, am telling you this on the record that this fight is happening on March 19th, you have to have at least two sources. So, someone will give you a heads up. You'll ask, that team if it's accurate. You'll ask the other team if it's accurate. If you're able to ask the promoter, you'll ask them as well. And it's a tricky game. There have been times where I've asked people and then they've leaked it to someone else. But that's generally how it goes. Long Dawn.
Long Dawn?
No, Dawn. Hello, Ariel and crew. Longtime watcher, first-time sub-stacker. Since the star problem in the UFC has been a big subject, who do you guys think could be the next wave of upcoming stars? You guys were talking about this last week. Who would have predicted Alex Pereira, right? You said this. And it's almost hard to predict these things. People just emerge. So he's asking about John Silver or Payne Talbot. It could be. I mean, those guys have something. And especially like a Carlos Pradas, a Kaya Bohalio who speaks English already. They're ahead of the game. But God knows who it could be. It could be a million people. It could be Paddy Pimblett. Like Paddy could win against Michael Chandler and then win his next one and then fight for the belt. Like these things, some of them you can pinpoint. But Conor obviously came in with a ton of hype, but you didn't know how it was going to turn out. And a lot of people thought, he was going to get exposed this time and that time and that time. So it's hard to predict these things.
Also, not all stars are the same. You mentioned us talking about Alex, but even more than that, GC brought up a great one that I really don't think about all the time. Charles Oliveira. Like, it could be some guy who's 500 right now in the UFC, and all of a sudden they become a star overnight. Like, there is no way to predict this, is what I've ultimately kind of concluded. Like, you can certainly hedge your bets. You can certainly kind of go with somebody like a Pradas, like these guys that have undefeated records or very low losses and are on meteoric runs. But sometimes they just come out of nowhere. Sometimes it's just Alex Pereira comes out of kickboxing and is chasing down Israel Adesanya. It's random. It is, and it's very hard to do.
Jordan, happy Wednesday, gang. Can you guys rank these in order of likelihood to happen? 1, Ariel genuinely saying, do you know who I am, to get out of some sort of jam. 2, PT to go a week without an alcoholic beverage. 3, Frank to show his face on screen. 4, GC to lose to someone on the Aviron bike. Or 5, Rick to go a month without contracting some sort of illness.
It's tough. All right. I am not losing on the Aviron bike, so that's 5. Rick will be sick
tomorrow.
Weekly, not even monthly, so that's 1. All right. Now we just got to fill in the sandwich here.
Franco is never going to show his face.
Frank not so showing 4. Face is number 1. Wait, we're ranking them in order which way?
I don't know.
Most likely to least likely? 1 is most likely, 5 is least likely, or do we want to go by?
Yeah. PT to go a week without the beverage.
Happening.
Yeah. Now, how many on St. Patty's?
None. 0.
Because you were on the show, or
he had to work late that night? He wasn't able to score.
He was out in the garden, and then he had to work.
Yeah.
I haven't drank since last Tuesday, boys.
Oh, 8 days.
Fuck, you already made it a week.
You did it.
Congratulations, man.
Yes.
No wonder you looked so ill the other day.
The real question though is, when does Ariel do you know who I am? Like, have you ever done that?
No, I have not.
If he did, would he cop to it right now and just be like,
not a great look.
I did it that one time. I got pulled over.
It's not a great look.
That one time I T-boned the teenage driver and tried to put it on me. I said,
no, but I did call the cops, and the guy's like, oh, I know who you are. I was like, oh, thanks for saving me on that one. Didn't really help me.
That's different.
In any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
but it made me feel good in the moment about myself. Gabe, hey, Ariel and crew, thanks for keeping it 100. That interview with Leon Edwards was a master class. Your harmonious rapport with him is tangible. He can be a tough cookie in interviews, but the energy and connection you bring makes it an awesome atmosphere. We always get the best of Rocky on the AH show. Bravo. Wow, thank you. Question for New York Jackman. GC has locked up a Tony Hawk Boom Boom Huck Jam shirt for Iowa. Will you rock some Slipknot gear?
Is Slipknot from Iowa? Frank would know.
Yeah, definitely.
They have an album called Iowa.
What we currently had planned was a Caitlin Clark jersey, but
I've actually been getting
that.
a lot of flack online. Everyone's been telling me to not wear the trash ass Iowa gear and to go with Iowa State instead.
oh, so should I not wear Caitlin Clark?
No,
Should I wear Iowa State?
I think you go Iowa State. I mean, you go Caitlin Clark, Iowa. I'll go Boom Boom Huck Jam, and then I'll get an Iowa State hat to rock.
Okay. Cyclones.
It's gonna be great. Yeah, shout out to the Cyclones.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. We'll have all the bases covered.
No, it sounds
Yeah,
great.
it's gonna be-
And what
Do
is
we have to mix
Nick
in
wearing?
Slipknot?
What's Nick wearing?
Oh, who cares?
All right.
They'll be behind the camera.
Jordan. Salam alaikum, Ariel and team. Walaikum salam. Watching and supporting the show from Perth, Australia. Thank you. Any chance we could have an NBA section or more NBA talk during the shows? People have been asking about it. I don't know. Do we have any time? Do we have any bandwidth? I also was presented with an idea of a sort of like our version of the South Beach sessions, like kind of like what I was doing on the channel before, where it was these long form, non-combat, kind of off the beaten path interviews. But again, so many ideas, so little time. Would be nice. Maybe one day. It was fun doing the Showtime one. The trickiest part about it was very humbling because I realized very, very quickly that obviously the Rolodex isn't quite as deep as it is here. And there was a period there where I had like a borderline panic attack because I couldn't get a single guest. I couldn't get any commitment. And this is why I will always, always, always adore Mike Brown. Mike Brown, the now former coach of the Sacramento Kings, someone I kind of like developed some kind of texting relationship with because he's an MMA fan. He was this is March of 23. He's en route to becoming the coach of the year. He revitalized the Kings. I text him. He replies to me within 2-3 minutes and says, sure, I'm in. And he was my first guest. I mean, like the coach of the year was my first guest. I was so relieved, thankful, grateful. I do have to say, I have not texted with Bill Goldberg in almost a decade. And I texted him on Saturday and he replied within 2 minutes. I couldn't believe it. It was so quick. I was like, is it possible this is a fake number and the guy's just trolling me? But he was like, yeah, no problem. I'm in. Very few things make me happier than those moments. Adele, hey, Ariel and the crew, I've got a bunch of questions. Does Frank use an audio modifier for his voice? Reason for this is we actually heard his real voice on one of the episodes, and at first I was like, who's this? But he quickly fixed it. Also, lay off good old Frankie. I feel it's been hostile lately. Frankie, do you use a modifier?
No, I don't.
Has it been hostile?
No, I don't think so.
If only he saw us. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Does anyone from the group smoke?
When I'm drinking. I'm ripping cigs all day when I'm on the sauce.
I was going to say, should I just light
GC
one
is
up right now?
GC is way too comfortable with those smokes. Like he's way too like he is way too familiar. Look at that.
If you got him.
We turned the alarms off or what, boys? Calm down.
He's like, I can't do that. I cannot do that and be that. Even what he just did there. Even this
A couple are going to have to get smoked when Big Pizzi's here in New York.
I was trying to get GC to rip cigs all the time when I was in Vegas.
This right
Come
here,
on.
like, how do you do that? How do you do that so smooth?
I don't know. Never smoked one before.
Yeah, I don't believe that for a second.
Now my dad's watching because of Bill Goldberg.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
No, never. I could see you at at a Kentucky Derby bar.
This in a sports book, just
in Vegas
by
wearing a
myself.
visor.
Nothing
by
like
myself.
Visor.
Nothing like it, GC.
Betting on the ponies? On the ponies?
Oh, don't get me
The
started
electric
on the
ponies or the real ones?
I'll bet on either, whichever one you guys
All
want
of
to
them.
do. I'm
Whichever
there.
one's moving.
There's always a race too.
The best is when you walk into a sports book in Vegas at like 11 a.m. and it's just the ponies and there's like a smattering of like 6-7 dudes there.
I had to go
Six
cash a
legends.
ticket in person a few weeks ago on a NASCAR bet, and I had to go into a sports book that had ponies at like 8:30 p.m. on a Sunday, and it was a sad state of affairs. It was a sad state of affairs.
Anyway, he says, does anyone smoke? Maybe some fatty boombati after a long day listening to Ariel? Why do I feel like New York Rick used to smoke cigs? Thanks for everything you and the boys do. Enjoy the content very much every week. I will reveal one thing. There was a period like a year and a half or so ago.
I remember this.
I was partaking in the
The e-cigs?
No, in the edible department. The edible department.
I went with Helwani. It was great.
Oh yeah, you did go.
We should have vlogged it.
So it was great.
You should have made a video.
He
That was
hit the
hilarious.
guy at the dispensary with 20 questions.
Yes, and so what happens then? And how long does it take? And what does this taste like?
It's like, I don't
I'm more interested in why did it stop?
It's like, honestly, like there was one where, and I was always taking the same amount, but like one where I went to bed, and also it's not as fun when no one else is doing it with you. I feel like, so like I'm there, and I felt like I was sleeping on a waterbed, and I felt like the whole thing going like this, and it got to be a little much.
Nice.
It got to be a little intense.
Rip the John F. Kennedy when you get home every once in a while.
No, but I will say, speaking of which, there is a very famous person who I won't say their name, who's a fan of the show, who said that he named his bull Ariel Helwani. And so him and his friends. I thought it was. I was.
Well,
I mean, you got to name it. That's a good point.
Yeah, is that what you name yours?
No, I had a elongated pipe at one point in my life, and it was called the Gandalf. You gotta name it.
We had a bong that was just Yoda from Star Trek. It was so cool. One of the greatest bongs of all time. But I'm a
I've
changed
never
man
tried
now.
that. I've always been fascinated by the sound.
You've never ripped a bong?
No,
Helwani?
never. In college,
That's surprising.
In college, I was literally sitting next to like kids who did it, and there was something about the water and everything that felt gross to me. But I was always kind of captivated by the sound.
Throw some ice in there. Oh yeah.
Pizzi. That's
Never hit one myself.
That's Yoda from Star Wars, bro.
What did you say?
Yeah,
Star
yeah,
Trek?
yeah. Did I say Star Trek? What did I say?
I don't know.
Unless
I
it's
was-
different in Ireland, you know.
Pizzi's high right now.
Yoda.
I mean, aren't we all?
Eric,
No?
with the negativity in the comments section seemingly getting worse over time, really?
Jeez,
How do
so
you
right.
differentiate constructive criticism and trolling? Golly.
Not from that
it's tough.
comment section. There is no constructive
There is
criticism.
nothing.
I handle it by ignoring it completely and doing exactly what I want to do.
Let's have a conversation about this. Why do you think it's that and not constructive criticism? And why do you think people like I have never
You're talking generally, like why are people more negative as opposed to
No. Like why do you label it as just trolling as opposed to constructive criticism?
Oh, why
And
me?
you specifically. But let me just follow up with a secondary question, which is, obviously we all look at YouTube, watch YouTube, things of that nature. I've never felt compelled to leave a comment. And so I'm just wondering what compels someone to do it. And then if you're going to leave a comment, like I think if I would leave a comment, my inclination would be to be like, great stuff or whatever, as opposed to just like a Megillah of just hate or I don't know. I'm trying to kind of like get into the mind of someone who would feel that way, but
All right, let me answer it.
it's a
The
weird
specific part for me,
one. Okay.
I don't actually feel like they're that negative, to be honest. Like people saying like they disagree with my take or like he has bad takes, like even that's like an opinion, right? That's somebody voicing the same way I'll go out and be like, I feel strongly about this. If they feel strongly against my point of view, I don't view that as necessarily negative or like, oh, this guy always has bad takes. I kind of see that as just like their stance, right? And I don't ultimately view that as negative. Where it gets negative is like personal attacks, feels like that. I don't feel like a lot of that stuff is directed at me. Maybe I'm missing it. So I honestly don't like feel that way. People saying like, I think you're an idiot for that take, I kind of like accept that. That is the nature of it. And I'm okay with that. I would imagine you face a lot of different.
I have felt a massive shift.
Yeah.
And, I have my theories. There's multiple theories. If you've been around long enough, there is always going to be like some sort of sentiment as like let's take this guy down. You know what I mean? Or like enough of this guy. There's always going to be that. When you're the new kid on the block, like everyone's kind of rooting for you. But even when I was new, I remember vividly the interview that I did with Forrest Griffin. And I was getting roasted. I remember going on MMAmania.com and they were killing me. And that's when I did the interview with Gina that same day. I was in my feelings. And it's tough. It's tough when you start and you're like, holy shit, why do people hate me? Why are they so mean? But then luckily I've developed much thicker skin, but it's still, I mean, Twitter is, yesterday, I tweeted something. We're tweeting things throughout the show, and sometimes I'll look, okay, what did well, what didn't do well, And then like it just so happens that the first thing I click, the first comment is you're the bastard son of a whore. And I'm like, this is not a really fun thing to read. Why do we do this to ourselves? And who is compelled to write these sorts of things? Obviously, whether you want to admit it or not, since October 7th, a lot has changed. The sentiment towards people who look like me and believe in the things that I believe in and support the things that I support has changed dramatically. In fact, this morning I woke up to a litany of tweets breaking the news that the Jews killed JFK, and now my whole timeline is filled with that very fun stuff. And the best is when you followed people for a very long time and you're like, oh wow, you feel this way. Well, that's a bummer. That makes me a little bit sad. So anyway, I don't know what I'm getting at, but...
No, I think what you're getting at is like, there's a difference between like somebody disagrees with me and is like, you're a dummy, versus an unprompted, unrelated, not topical, just attack to try and
just hate,
hurt somebody's life, hurt their day, make them feel bad.
If someone says like, I couldn't disagree with you more on your take on like Aspinall, he needs to wait 5 years. This is too big of a fight. I'm like, oh, that's constructive criticism. That's just like healthy, fun sports debate.
You don't want the I don't like this fake big nose guy. I'm gonna block him.
Yeah. Not the greatest, not the best.
Yeah, that one.
Shout out to Andrew Feldman, who always pops up with this video afterwards of Ali himself saying that if you're a Muslim and you speak this way, you're not a real Muslim, and yet he continues. And make no mistake about it, that's 1,000% him. There's a very good chance that Magomed Ankalaev doesn't even know who I am at this point. But anyway.
Ultimately, though, these kinds of things say a lot more about the person sending them than they do about the person that it's being sent to.
I'd like
consider
to
that.
I'd like to think so.
When you are sending your negativity out.
Right.
Consider that point.
Sucker free topic: Canadian Saturday morning cartoons. I like this topic. When you came to America for school, did you discover any Canadian Saturday morning cartoons missing from the American childhood? Or did you learn of any American cartoons that you learned to like? Well, when I moved here, I was 19 years old, so I wasn't really watching Saturday morning cartoons. Anyway, I doubt you guys had Samurai Pizza Cats. Also, I assume someone as young as GC missed the Saturday morning cartoon wave. GC, are you familiar with Saturday morning cartoons?
Yeah, of course. Come on.
Yeah, it's the best.
Not that young.
No, I used to love Saturday morning cartoons.
Is that not still a thing?
Macaulay Culkin used to... I don't think it's a thing because,
I think YouTube has taken over.
Yeah, kids wake up and they just put on YouTube.
My kids don't watch TV. They watch YouTube, so...
Exactly. Do you remember the one where it was... I think it was Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, and Michael Jordan. It was called like Power Stars or something.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And then they had the cereal. What was it? Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, cartoon, Pro Stars. Yes, look at that. My favorite one of all time, 1,000%, is Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. That was the best. Dun, 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 dun. It was amazing. I loved that because it was all the characters and there was the good guys and the bad guys. Macaulay Culkin had snap into a Slim Jim. Macaulay Culkin, Saturday morning cartoon. He had one. I was obsessed with Macaulay Culkin. I wrote him a letter. Wish Kid, it was called. I once wrote Macaulay Culkin a series of letters, and then I got an 8x10 back, and it said Mac on it, just M-A-C-K. And I wasn't quite sure if it was a real signature, if it was fake, but it was still exciting.
Better than the cease and desist that he could have sent back.
That's true. It was still exciting, nonetheless. Where are we? A few more questions, and then we'll get to our first interview of the day. Can you sell me, this is from Ben, on a subscription to DAZN? Which cards do they offer and which promotions? Boxing is hard for me to follow, and I feel like the cards are never in the same place. Well, yeah, they aren't in the same place. They're all over the place. Well, it depends on where you're living. Let's just assume, because if you're living in Europe, you're getting a lot more. But if you're living in the United States,
pretty good, yeah.
You'll get all the boxing. You'll get Matchroom. You'll get Queensberry. You'll get Golden Boy. You'll get Misfits. You'll get MVP. Queensberry's about to start in April. You'll get BKFC. You'll get some. You'll get like Women's Champions League. But if you're in France, like they are the home of League One, like where PSG plays and all that. They are the national broadcast home, if you will. The same in Japan. If you're in Canada, by the way, they're the home of the NFL. Like they have their own version of Sunday Ticket. It's called, I think it's called Game Pass. And they're adding more and more each and every day. That might be some foreshadowing. Stay tuned. Thomas, following your chat with Bo this week, are there any updates with Dana fixing the rankings? I heard him talk about it recently that they were close to announcing something, but that's all I got. And it sounds like it sounded like he was alluding to some sort of AI situation. Galloway David, Ariel and the lads, first-time question asker, about attending my first ever event in London this weekend as a gift from my girlfriend. Are there any must-have items to bring with us? Not really. Why are people always asking about like what they should do? Like, just go to the event and have fun. My one rule, just go for the first fight. Enjoy it all. I'm worried about how it will be for so many hours with no commentary, but I'm sure the crowd energy will suffice. 1,000%. Also, have you ever had your partner pick against your favorite fighters? We watch the events together every weekend. In the early days when we lived in a 500 square foot apartment, we used to watch them all together, but she didn't really pick against them. It was more like, I like this person, I like that person. And at that point, I was covering. I wasn't really like rooting people on. Shout out to Pizzi. The missus thinks he is great crack, and she loves to watch the Fight Feast and Pound for Pound rankings with me. Thanks, guys. David from Galway. Where's Galway, Pizzi?
Galway. It's in the west coast of Ireland. It's a beautiful town. Really, really great town. Honestly, it's one of the best towns in Ireland. Love visiting there. Great place. Coastal town. Fabulous.
If she likes pizza and she likes, the stuff we do on The Boys in the Back, she's got good taste. So you can keep her, even though
that's a keeper.
Mikey, Ariel, have you seen the trailer for the Happy Gilmore sequel produced by Netflix? Yes. And it's very exciting. I do believe MJF is in it and other notables from the world of combat. But we love Adam Sandler. I particularly loved his new stand-up that he came out with. The special was...
Didn't hear anything about that.
It seems like it's a sleeper, right?
Yeah. By the way, I did watch... Did I talk about this on air? The full Andrew Schultz stand-up special, and it's fantastic. And I can't confirm you do cry. There's no doubt in my mind. In fact, I was watching it in bed, as I'm known to do, and my wife was wearing one of those like red light therapy masks. Do you guys ever see these?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of terrifying. It looks like a Jason mask. And so she's listening to it. And with a stand-up comedy, you could just listen to it. No problem. And then it comes to the part where the crying starts. And then she's like, "Are you crying?" Because she couldn't really see what I was seeing. It's a whole montage. So she
turned to you with the mask on. She's like, "Are you crying?"
Yeah, it was. Felt like I was being a little bit mocked. See, everyone makes fun of my crying. I will say.
How do you play that?
How do I?
Do you try and
I just said yes. I am crying, and if you were watching this, you would be crying too.
I think the Adam Sandler special would also make you cry, but just
so bad.
I get there. One of my favorite stand-up specials of all time is Martin Lawrence, "You So Crazy." Have you guys ever seen that one?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
So good, where he's wearing like the full leather outfit.
He was like the fucking man back then as well.
Mama gonna work it out. Mama gonna work it out. He was so good. Okay, we don't have our next guest, do we? Okay.
Keep going.
Ahmed. Hey, Ariel, longtime listener, first time here. Welcome. My only question is, since you are from the Middle East, well, technically my parents are. I'm from Canada. They're from Lebanon and Egypt. How come you can't talk Arabic, but you can speak French? Well, I can understand. Like, I called my grandfather, Albert. My grandfather has been playing Lotto 649 in Quebec, which is like our version of, the lottery, whatever you say, where you pick the numbers. What's the version of it here in America? It's like Powerball or something. He's been playing that for as long as I've been born. Like, as long as I've been alive, he's been playing Lotto 649. That's what it's called. He won $30,000 on Monday.
Holy shit.
Yes. And he's like 95. And so I called him and I said, I call him Dodi. I said, "Dodi, mabruk." Mabruk means congratulations in Arabic. Mabruk, mabruk, mil mabruk. Like 1,000 congratulations. And he starts speaking to me in Arabic. Like, just by saying that, it just triggers it. So he tells me that he's going to my parents' house and then he's going to go get the check. And we like to play a thing with my kids where we time how quick my conversations are with my grandfather. And they're usually on average like 12 to 15 seconds long. And it's just like, "Okay, bye-bye." And then you'll hang up. but I understood everything that he was saying. And so when my parents would speak Arabic to each other, I'd understand everything, and I understand shway. I understand shway, and I know some of the bad words, and all these things. Salam alaikum.
How dare you?
Alhamdulillah, kishimnich. I understand it, but I can't have like a full conversation. But if you speak to me in it, I will understand the majority of it. The reason why I know French is because 50% of the school day in Quebec has to be in French by law. So you can't get around it. And my mother tongue was French. I could not speak English until I got to pre-K, and I went to pre-K and I didn't speak English, and they told me I had to go home and learn. And so my mom taught me like the basics, and I came back 2 months later with just like bare minimum English. And then of course you grow up in an Anglophone neighborhood, and you're able to, you're around kids who are all English, and so now my accent is a lot more English. And of course, I've been here now longer than I was in Canada, so I've lost it all. But yes. And then he asks, are you proud of your Arabic blood? I'm proud of my family's history. I'm proud of what they've been through. I'm proud of what they've endured. I'm proud of what they've overcome. I'm proud of our lineage. Yes, the food is something I'm very proud of. I adore. I'm very proud of our roots. And I got to go to Alexandria to see where my dad grew up. We never went to Beirut. It wasn't advised. But I have a lot of love and admiration for the culture and the lineage. And I pray that we can all live in peace and harmony. We put a pin in things. Let's go to our first guest of the day. So I've been teasing that we will have some very interesting news regarding a combat sports promotion and some streaming information pertaining to said combat sports promotion. And so without further ado, let us say hello to an old friend, the CEO of Glory Kickboxing, the one and only Marshall Zelaznik is here, kind enough to join us on this Wednesday afternoon. Marshall, long time. How are you?
Yeah, good. Good to see you. I'm a big fan of the show. I'm pumped to be here and excited to be chatting with you. Before we kick into things, there's something that's always been on my mind. I don't know if we ever spoke about, which was, do you remember, I think it was the first UFC in Abu Dhabi, was that 110 maybe? In
112.
2010? 112. Do you remember sitting with me and a guy named Jamie Pollock?
Yes.
And I remember saying to you, you remember me asking you, are you a lawyer? Because I always found your style of having a conversation, you actually would get relevant information out of people, where too often there are journalists that just have their set of questions, they want to get through them. But I was always taken by your style, not to pump your tires too much right now, but I was always curious if you remembered that. It sounds like you might.
Yes, absolutely. I remember it. And why it stuck with me was when I was a kid, my parents told me they thought I was going to be a lawyer because of that style. So that was a great time. And of course, for those that may not know, you were the former managing director of international at UFC UK for years. You and our good friend Ant Evans did a lot of great work with the likes of Michael Bisping and Dan Hardy to make that region into a powerhouse that it is today. And it's quite fitting that we're speaking to you on the week that the UFC is returning to London. Also former chief content officer and very instrumental in the launch of UFC Fight Pass, long time UFC executive and now CEO of Glory. In your second go-around, you returned about a year ago. Can I ask why, by the way? Why did you return?
Yeah, it seemed, there was always this feeling of unfinished business. When I left, it was never in my mind that I would return. I had been doing the esports thing for a while, and then we had sold that esports group. And as we were transitioning the company, I had an outreach from Pierre Onderand, who is the owner effectively of Glory, and he asked whether I'd be interested to come back. And so that caused me to think. I had gone to my wife. She was game for it. So yeah, not often you get a second chance. And so for me, some of the unfinished business was I always had hoped that we would make Glory into not only a more well-known brand, but a more viable business, a more viable ecosystem for kickboxing. And so, yeah, I think it was just maybe a little bit, I hate to admit, of my ego thinking, man, we can make a run at this. I want to take another shot. And I did it.
Okay. Welcome back. I hope it's proving to be a great decision for you in your life. And that will get us into the news, because I want to ask you some subsequent questions about the news. Tell us what you're here to announce today.
Yeah, so the first thing we're announcing is that we've now partnered with DAZN in many regions around the world, including the US. For us, as I was saying, our ambition is to become more relevant worldwide. DAZN being the leader, frankly, of combat, of let's just say marquee combat sports events, it was a natural fit for us. We had done a smaller deal with them in France and Belgium, which was very successful. And so we ended up doing a multi-territory deal around our last heavyweight standing, which is our multi-event tournament that kicks off in April. And so for us, there's this notion of the company you keep. And so we're excited to announce that we're going to be with DAZN, that it'll be available to many people around the world. We have other distribution partners, of course, but certainly in the US, to have their support and their position is critical for us and helps to launch a new U.S. strategy where there's other news that we're announcing involving working with the Better Group, which, as you know, is owned by Jake Paul. We just announced today that we are doing an event with that group on May 1st around F1 weekend. It'll be the Thursday. We're bringing a champ versus champ fight into the Better Warehouse. And this really does kick off a new U.S. strategy for us. And then, also here to talk about Glory 100, which is coming in June, which I am excited about as well. So there's a lot of things happening, and you had said, I hope it works out. I really feel like we're on a bit of an upswing, and I'm excited for what this year is going to bring.
I love the reintroduction to the U.S. market, because it's always been one of those things where I've wondered why kickboxing, while you see MMA popular here, boxing of course, jiu-jitsu's having a moment as well, why hasn't kickboxing had this connection with the audience here in America? And I know that in a previous lifetime, Glory was quite active here. Shows at the theater, shows in Chicago, shows on the West Coast. And so I do believe this event that you're talking about in May, on the 1st of May, will be the first show in America since 2019. And then you partner with DAZN to have a home here. And, full disclosure, I work for DAZN, so this is very exciting. I think that they are the best at what they do as far as combat streaming is concerned. This is great. So is this the beginning of like a new commitment? Because for a long time, it seemed like you were having major shows in Europe, of course, in the Netherlands. You guys are gigantic, with the likes of Rico, leading the way. Is this a new commitment? Are there going to be more events in America after this one in Miami?
For sure. This is, as you described it, is a re-entry. We do think this partnership with Better allows us to take, I believe that there's a lot of awareness of what Glory is generally, and that it was obviously helped by the success of Israel and Alex Pereira, and everyone's been talking about Glory, but I don't know that people have really had a chance to experience it. There's this belief I have in some way that all MMA fans are also kickboxing fans. There are always occasions in fights where you'll hear fans chant, stand them up, stand them up. The biggest UFC fighters, many of the biggest UFC fighters are strikers. We've got a set of rules and quality fighters that should translate to a very knowledgeable U.S. audience. So we will be doing more of these events. We are bringing the events to these influencer creator communities. And so we like this strategy. We think it will help relaunch us. And, we're not here to eat anyone's lunch. We're here to take our space in the combat sports landscape and really change the trajectory of the business for our fighters and the business. And, all of our efforts to stay in Europe is where our bread is buttered. That's where we make, the majority of our revenue. We'll put 30,000 people into an arena in the Netherlands. No other fight promotion's going to do that there. I don't care who they are. And so, but if we're going to grow this business, we have to get out of our comfort zone, and this is our way to do it.
Why do you think it has never taken off here in America? What's your theory?
Well, I used to think in my first go round, even though I'm much younger than I look, I do remember that sort of kickboxing on ESPN in the 80s.
Yeah.
Was guys in gis with shin pads, and it was point fighting. And so I used to think there was like this holdover to, well, this isn't very exciting. And then I don't know that I believe that anymore. I think what's more true is we, at least at Glory, and I will admit to the first 2 years I was here, is we were a very reactive business. We were not planning well. We were reacting to what the market would allow, and I think we didn't do ourselves any favor by being start and stop. But we've got a new commitment where we're going to be announcing events further out. We're going to have the chance to build talent. We're investing in the marketing and promotion, into the storytelling, so that that people care about the fighters. So yeah, I don't have a really great answer for you, because I do think the product, when you watch it, and if you listen to even UFC fighters talk on other programs like yours, they talk about the skills and the tenaciousness of these kickboxers. And we just have to do a better job of getting people to see it and understand why these fights matter. We are the top promotion in the world, and if you're the champion in glory, it means something, and it means something in the fight community. Now we just need to make sure the fight fans understand the importance of that.
Pardon the pun, you are the last one standing as far as kickboxing promotions are concerned. You are the UFC of kickboxing, for those that may not know. And so, to be clear, this first event, Glory 99, April 5th in the Netherlands, the first event of this last heavyweight standing tournament, which will feature 32 heavyweights, 16 fights on that first show, all leading up to a one-night tournament, I do believe, where there'll be the 8 fighters left. Will it be, and there's the poster right there. I love the poster. It's great. Will all these shows be on DAZN, and will they be behind the pay-per-view paywall, or are they just a part of the subscription?
Yeah, so they will all be on DAZN. We're working with DAZN now on pricing and availability. There will not be a need to subscribe in order to be able to see. So if that becomes through a transaction or some other means of watching, so there won't be that sort of barrier to it. And for sure, they'll all be on DAZN in the DAZN markets. It's funny. I know that you don't necessarily love tournaments. I think I remember seeing one of your programs where you spoke about it. I do think this tournament is unique. These are all heavyweights, 32 of the top kickboxers in the world, all competing to get to the end of the year in an 8-man tournament where they have to fight 3 times in a night. And I think this tournament format will be very easy for people to consume and understand, and we think will start to highlight and elevate not only the sport, but some great fighters.
Just to be clear, I don't mind a tournament. I don't like the season and the standings and all that stuff. Tournament is old school. I could get behind that. I just don't like when it gets too convoluted and we try to make fight sports into team sports. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. So you're loving the GFL team?
Yes. What a fascinating time, Marshall. What do you make of the state of combat sports, especially in this country right now with TKO? And it seems like they're trying to really dominate, all of combat, but no word on a kickboxing, a kickboxing pillar in their portfolio.
No, not yet. Listen, there's never been more combat available, and it's one of the challenges for a brand like ours, for a property like ours that's trying to get mind share, because there's so many opportunities to consume it. The UFC is doing over 40 events. They take a lot of the oxygen out. Obviously, TKO getting into boxing. I've been a boxing fan forever, so I'm watching this, very interestingly. I was looking at all of the sanctioning bodies, and I was comparing their top 10s in boxing. And I don't know if this is true, but it looked to me that maybe 30 or 40% of every one of those sanctioning bodies, top 10 by weight class, share the same fighters, which means there's a total mess in terms of who really is the best. And so if TKO can clean that up or start to, create some understanding and appreciation for these fighters. I have a lot of friends who either work with, train, manage boxers, and it's a very frustrating industry. So if it helps, great. But for a group like ours who's trying to gain awareness and gain interest, it creates a lot of headwinds. And it's so different from 2016 when I joined the UFC, and they had this sort of spectacle or sport notion to it, and it was drawing a lot of interest from fans just who were curious about it. And obviously it had amazing stickiness. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges for these promotions. And the good news, I think, is for fighters, there's plenty of opportunity. And for groups like ours who look to only sign the best, I think it creates a chance for us to secure talent that is getting experience in places outside of, say, Glory or UFC, so that those fighters become available to us.
You made a really great point earlier, because it feels like we talk about Glory a lot these days, whether it's about Alex Pereira or it's about Israel Adesanya or it's about Cedric Doumbé. How do you get, and they become super popular once they leave? The trick needs to be get them popular, get the world to know about them once they're under your umbrella. How do you make that happen?
Yes. Yeah, when I was coming back, there's, there's always this discussion in fight promotion, if you will. You've got to get people to care about the fighters. No, you need the right matchup. No, you need the right platform. And so the discussion has been, boy, we had Alex here. We had Doumbé here. Now, COVID played a role in that. There was Adesanya was here. And I think what the reality of all that is you need all of those things to line up. And of course, our goal is to hold on to the talent, make them big, and give them the shine that they deserve. But for us to see the success of Israel and Alex and Doumbé and see the shine they get, it's something that you can be proud of, but I'd be lying to say we want them to stay here. We want to give them a platform that they don't want to leave, that we can pay them and be competitive with every other promotion, which I think we can when the negotiations happen. But yeah, it's certainly gives us confidence and hope that we can do it because those fighters have the skill. And there are fighters sitting within our rankings now that are some of the most dominant in the world. And it's our job to get them elevated, get people to care, and make sure they want to stay with us.
Rico Verhoeven, your heavyweight champion, in my opinion, the face of your promotion for many, many years, the king of glory in the heavyweight division, is going to join us in a matter of seconds. But I do want to ask you, I threw out the idea of Rico versus Francis Ngannou. I feel like that would be a tremendous... Francis has got nothing. I heard there was some chatter. Is there anything you could tell us about this?
Yeah, well, it all sort of, germinated from your show maybe 6 weeks ago.
Thank you.
And yeah, no, definitely. You get credit for that. And so there were conversations. There were conversations at the PFL level. There have been, Rico's all in. Francis seems to be interested in it. There's still conversations happening. We think it would be an amazing event. It is curious that Francis doesn't have anything that has been publicly disclosed yet. The thing with fighters, as we all know, is you've got to stay active to stay in the mind's eye. And we're going to do everything we can to try to make a fight like that happen. And, you can ask Rico, but, Rico is game. And Rico deserves the chance to call his shot. He's done so much for our sport, so much for glory. And we're happy to call him a member of our family. And we'll do everything we can to support him. We will not stand in the way of trying to make a fight like that happen.
I love it. And I really do love this DAZN deal. It's been a little tough these days to know, where are the glory events happening? The great Alan Murphy, who does tremendous work for you guys on a PR level, is always letting us know. But I think for the casual fan, it's a little tricky. So now we know here in America, in the Netherlands and other regions around the world, you can go to DAZN to watch Glory 99, Glory 100 coming up, and all the big events. Great to have you on, Marshall. Thank you very much for the time. Congratulations. And we look forward to our next chat. Good luck to you and the team. There he is, the CEO of Glory, Marshall Zelaznik. And in a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by the great Rico Verhoeven. I can tell you also that Glory Miami, this event that is taking place with the Better Group, F1 weekend, is actually going to air on YouTube. They're going to try to make it into an event of sorts with celebrities and influencers in attendance. So that is going to air on YouTube on the 1st of May. Glory 99 is on April 5th. And we've got Glory 100 coming up. Now let us speak to the face of Glory, the king of the heavyweight division. Dare I say, the most successful and decorated heavyweight in all of combat sports. If you talk about the last decade or so, the man is undefeated. We're speaking to the great Rico Verhoeven right now. There he is. Hello, Rico. How are you?
Thank you, Ariel. What an introduction.
Always, my friend.
Always. Love it.
Great to have you on. Great to talk to you as always. So some exciting news from Marshall that Glory 99 and subsequent Glory events here in America will air on DAZN. I love this. And we were talking about Glory 99 and we saw the 32 men, last heavyweight standing. Conspicuous by his absence is you. It's a heavyweight tournament, but you're not a part of it. Why?
No. Well, I did a tournament last year, so... yeah, I didn't really feel the need to jump in another tournament again. And I thought hey, let the winner of this tournament fight for something. So his journey towards winning this tournament. And then when he wins the tournament, he can face me for the world championship.
So you're basically the prize at the end of the tournament.
Well, that's what they're going to get. Of course, they're going to win a lot of money.
Yeah, okay.
Winning the tournament. But then afterwards, they get a shot at the champ.
So my understanding is the finals of the tournament is like an 8-man one-night tournament. Will you fight that winner on that night, or does he win the tournament and then at a later date fight you?
Yeah, exactly. Or else that man is going to be fighting 4 times in one night.
Yeah, that's awful. That's awful. Okay.
No.
Just want to make that clear.
Let's give him a chance to win.
Are you fighting before that tournament, before the winner of that tournament is able to face you? Is there another fight on the books for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell us about it.
Yes, sir. I can't tell you too much. I got a date, June 14th. And yeah, I'm excited. We got a new opponent. And what makes it exciting for me is this opponent is for me like looking in the mirror. He mirrors a lot of my own strengths. And I think this is one of the most formidable opponents I've had in a while. So This is going to be a handful, 100%.
Okay, so June 14th is Glory 100. It would make all the sense in the world that you would headline Glory 100. You have been the face of Glory for all these years. Look at that poster right there. The king on his throne. Glory 100 on Saturday, June 14th. No mention of your opponent there, and you didn't give us anything other than that you seem excited. Can I try to pry a little bit? Have you ever faced this man before?
No. And I'm going to keep it at that. We're done. So I believe that somewhere next week, we're going to announce the opponents. Okay. So if you're up for it, we can do it in your show, of course.
Is it a big name? Is it a name that obviously kickboxing fans and non-kickboxing fans would know of?
He just keeps digging.
I just keep I'm sorry. 21 questions. I love that game.
No. I know. It's an amazing name, and I'm really happy to have him as an opponent. And it takes you need a good opponent to have an amazing fight. So, and we have one, so we're happy.
Okay. I did just ask Marshall about the Francis fight, and you'll recall after Francis's last fight, we had you on and we talked about this. It sounds like it graduated from just being sort of like a thing that we talked about to an actual thing that the executives talked about. From your perspective, where does that fight sit?
Yeah, most definitely. It's 100% on the radar. And I recently saw an interview with Francis that it's also on his radar, and he's also interested in that fight. So there are a lot of talks going on, and I'm excited for it because I think it's a huge challenge, and it's something new, it's something different, something we haven't seen before. What we've seen is boxers and MMA guys versus each other, but I think we are way more aligned than the other guys. So I'm excited for this challenge.
Could I ask, how close to it being a reality do you think it is? Are we 50% there, 60, 70? How close is this?
Well, we're in talks with different organizations. Like Marshall said, there are different people that showed interest in a fight like this. So let's say we're halfway.
Okay, I like that. That's good.
I'm always very positive. So let's say we're halfway. And that's, of course, always the beginning, that people are interested and they want to see a fight like this. And that is what's going on. So, and I'm interested. Francis is interested. Now we just need to see who's gonna be the promoter for it.
I love this in large part because it's fun, it's different, it's unique. Francis doesn't have anyone to fight under the PFL banner. We've seen him do the boxing thing. My question though is what rule set would the fight be? Would it be a kickboxing match? Would it be a boxing match? Would it be multiple fights? What are we talking?
I'm open.
Okay.
I'm open for whatever the promoter finds interesting. I think it's something new, and a boxing match could be really interesting because then we both go out of our way. So he's an MMA fighter, I'm a kickboxer, so we're both not boxers. We could do a kickboxing match. We could do an MMA match. So let's see what's on the menu.
Can I ask, we've talked to a lot of fighters over the years, and one thing that has always stuck with me, especially when you talk about the George St. Pierre's of the world, the Anderson Silvas of the world, the Demetrius Johnsons of the world, and what I mean by those guys and why I compare them to you is they held their titles for years and years and years, decades, multiple defenses, faces of their divisions, and all that stuff and more. And then when they would lose the belt, there would always be this sense of relief because, as the saying goes, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And then it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about this anymore. I don't have to be that guy anymore. Do you sense any of that? Undefeated since 2012, never lost in glory. You do one-night tournaments, Grand Prix. You're defending titles multiple times against the same guys. Do you sympathize with that? Do you think about that? Do you dream of that? Like, man, one day it's going to be nice to not have this massive bullseye on my back? Or is that a complete change from how you actually think?
No, definitely not. So I put out a little paper for myself, like what do I see for myself in the next 5 years? And one of those things, or actually the number one, the first thing is I want to retire as the kickboxing world heavyweight champion. So the reigning kickboxing heavyweight world champion. So I want to win a fight, I want to retain the belt, and then say, all right, guys, this is it.
Wow.
I'm done. So that's like the main goal for me.
And so do you want to go till 40? Is that your goal? You said 5 years, you're 35, right?
I turned 36 in 2 weeks. So,
okay.
3 weeks. So I think we got time. I think definitely have a handful of good fights in me. But am I gonna push it till 40? I don't know. It's always hard to say. Of course, like the heart and the spirit of a fighter is always there. But as you know, the passion for other things, such as acting, is so big and is so much fun that if things are starting to pop off more and more in the acting and entertainment world, that's where I'll be drawn to more.
Well, speaking of acting, we did have O'Shea Jackson Jr. on the program just a few weeks ago.
I knew you were going to say this.
And he spoke about you. In case you missed it, here's what he had to say.
Okay.
All right. Real quick. Number one, that Verhoeven, he's got to relax, bro. All right. When you're on a movie set with a bunch of fighters, all they do is like shadow kick and like shadow box all day. So like you don't want to be around one when they're bored because they'll just be like, "Come on, man, what's good?"
Yeah.
Like chill. I can't let you get close. So it's real. They're just just big warriors. Rico's so cool though. I still got to play Call of Duty with him. He's very aggressive about me playing Call of Duty with him.
Okay, so there's two accusations there. You're a bully on the set and you're aggressive in trying to get him to play Call of Duty. Your response?
No. I'm not aggressive. We're just having fun. We're having fun. No, it's O'Shea is also a huge fight fan just in general. So he's always like, or he's on the set like looking at fights or crazy videos. So of course when we don't have anything to do, I'm like, I'm just moving around with like throwing low kicks like in the air or like close to hitting him or just like walking up to him, hitting him from the back, but not too hard, of course. We don't want to take out one of our lead actors, but just having fun with it.
Did you enjoy the experience? Den of Thieves 2 seems to have been well received.
Yeah, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. It was huge. It was the second one. A great franchise. They actually, I think 2 weeks after it came out, they announced that it's going to be a number 3. So,
oh wow,
yeah, that's huge. That's really huge. I'm crazy excited about that. So proud to be part of the Den of Thieves family. And it was such a cool experience being surrounded with so many talented actors and people that do this for a freaking living. And I feel so blessed to be like surrounded with them and just learn and gain experience from that. So yeah, it was so much fun. Really, really happy with that experience. We took it in the backpack and now on to the next one.
On to the next. One thing that we didn't really mention, because we're obviously focusing on the United States here, is that this DAZN deal is what's to me massive about it is it will be the home of Glory in the Netherlands as well. And you know, Glory, probably you would, I think, agree. There's no country that enjoys Glory that is more into Glory kickboxing than the Netherlands. 30,000. You're the face of it. You're Dutch. All that stuff and more. So this is gigantic. Your thoughts on the DAZN deal? Are you happy with this?
The DAZN deal, I think it's amazing. I think on different sides, it's really, really interesting. So I think for DAZN itself, now partnering up with Glory makes it really interesting because now they have a whole new market. Like the Dutch market is definitely gonna open up for them. And for Glory, it's super interesting because now we're always also on the US. It's gonna be seen more because I think DAZN embraced just martial arts in general so well, and everybody's on there. The big names are on there, so I'm really excited and proud to be on there now as well.
Well, I'm excited and looking forward to the announcement that you're fighting Francis Ngannou next week, because clearly that's who you were talking about. I mean, what would be better than you versus Francis at Glory 100? I mean, it just writes itself. But of course, I'm joking. We will.
That would be really nice.
That would be really amazing. Nice. We'll find out next week. You said next week it's going to be announced, your opponent?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, there you have it. Glory 100. Some very big news pertaining to the world of Glory kickboxing. Congrats on all the success. Looking forward to the announcement next week, and we shall be talking to you very, very soon, no doubt. Thank you, Rico.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Ariel.
There he is. Soon. The great Rico Verhoeven, 65-10. Amazingly, 35, the king of kickboxing, heavyweight world champion, Grand Prix champion, held the title for over a decade, 12 successful title defenses. And you know, Marshall brought up a great point. It is amazing. It's almost like when someone graduates from Glory into the UFC, we use Glory, right? We say, oh, this guy's a former Glory champion. Oh, he's a two-weight world champion. We say this about Alex, we say it about Israel, we say it about Cedric Doumbé, to name a few. And yet, when they're in Glory, we don't talk about them as much. And so how do they get people to be interested in these guys when they're doing that thing that they're so good at before they have to graduate, and not allow them to graduate? That's going to be a tricky thing for them. But here they are partnering up with DAZN. Love it. And here they are coming back to the U.S. for the first time in 6 years. Love that as well. So let's see. Very exciting stuff in the world of combat sports. On May 3rd, so that weekend's going to be a big one. They've got that Glory event. There's obviously the Times Square card here. There's Canelo. There's Inoue. There's the UFC heading to Des Moines, Iowa. And the boys will be there, and the headliner will be Deiveson Figueiredo against our next guest at this time. We love talking to Cory, and it's been a while since we spoke to Cory Sandhagen. So without further ado, let us say hello to the Sandman himself, Cory Sandhagen. Hello, Cory. Long time. How are you?
How are you?
I'm great. Yourself?
I'm good. I haven't seen you in a long time.
I know. I think this is your first time on the show in the new era, which is quite surprising. But you kind of been, you know, on your social media, I noticed like you were kind of jonesing. You were antsy. You said finally you got your fight. Why has it been so long? August till May? What is that? That's 9 months.
I know. Yeah, definitely not on my end. So, I mean, me and Figgy, they were trying to do us on that March 8th pay-per-view just for a 3-round fight.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I think something happened on Figgy's side. I mean, not think, but yeah, something happened on Figgy's side where they just had to move the date. So now we're going to be in Iowa on May 3rd, which I'm actually really excited about because that's where my dad's from. So I kind of used to take a lot of visits up there as a kid. And
wow.
And yeah, I get to go back to Iowa.
I was just going to ask you, what was your reaction when you found out the fight was happening in Iowa? Not exactly like a staple of the UFC schedule, but it sounds like this was actually something that excited you, that meant a lot to you.
No, I love Iowa, man. Like, I love the Midwest part of the U.S. Like, Colorado kind of used to be pretty Midwest, but then Denver turned into kind of a big city. But I like that feeling. It's like it's a fun one. I like the people of Iowa. They're Iowa nice. And yeah, like I said, I spent a lot of time driving through that country, and it was like, or not country, but state. And that was kind of like some of the most fun parts of my childhood was like road tripping up to Iowa. So I'm excited.
What's Iowa nice? I've never been to Iowa, so I don't know what that, I never actually heard of that.
Yeah, Iowa nice is, it's just like what they call the people because the people are really nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's super Midwest, man. And like, it's cold as shit, but yeah, it's really beautiful. It's like super pretty, especially in May with everything that's going to be growing and all the trees pretty and stuff like that. So that's kind of fun for me. I care more about that than I do about like city stuff. So
just out of curiosity, like you said, okay, March they were talking about, but it wasn't good for Figgy. Why didn't you fight someone else? Like why were they keeping you for him?
There's really no one else I feel like for me to fight right now. You know, like I could kind of fight down, but I feel like even my last fight against Umar, it was a super razor close fight. I just needed to do like a couple different things in order to win that fight. And then, I mean, Umar and Merab just had a super close fight together. So I feel like they still want me, you know, knocking on the door of title contention. So yeah, I think that's kind of why they had us wait. And then, I mean, me and Figgy's a good fight too. You know, Figgy comes out and he tries to knock your head off, and he's an experienced guy and he's a vet. And yeah, so, I mean, I think it's a great fight just kind of on paper too.
What did you make of his last performance?
I thought he did okay against Jan. I mean, Figgy's been fighting differently at 35 than he has at 25.
Oh, how so?
He doesn't like really march people down the same way that he used to. I think just because we're much bigger in this division compared to him. So, I mean, especially me, like my frame, it's kind of hard to like walk down this frame. So yeah, I mean, Figgy has been fighting a little bit different. He's been grappling a lot more with the guys in this division. And, you know, he didn't have a lot of success against Jan in the grappling department, and that was the one that he lost. So yeah, I mean, he's just kind of fighting different. He's a little bit older now too, not to be around the bush, but he's definitely like an older guy now. And yeah, I don't really think that he fights with the same amount of like ferocity that I feel like he used to.
The first thing I thought of when I heard about this fight was the height difference. 5'11", 5'5". Top of your head, has there been a bigger discrepancy for you in your career than this?
I don't know how big John Lineker was, but our picture standing next to each other was pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
I think that he might even have been like around 5'5" though.
Yeah. You're right. What are the challenges? I mean, I feel. What do you think? Does it favor the taller guy or does it favor the shorter guy? I feel like at first glance it would favor the shorter guy because he has more to work with. You have to punch down. Am I wrong about this?
A little bit. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd definitely rather be me than Figgy. You know, like Figgy's. If you're going to be shorter, better you be a wrestler and shorter, you know, but Figgy's not really a wrestler. I mean, he has good jiu-jitsu and good submissions and stuff, but his takedowns are very one note. He doesn't really chain stuff together very well. So, and then taking down, if you're shorter, taking down really lanky, long guys can just be obnoxious. A lot of wrestlers have kind of like told me that throughout the years, just being built the way that I am. Like, it's just an annoying style to have to deal with. So, I mean, I think Figgy's just going to come out there and try to like catch me. You know, that's kind of the way that I feel like he's been fighting a lot of his fights is he's just going to either try to catch me with a punch or a kick or catch me in a submission. And I think that time has kind of showed that that's not the winning strategy against me. So I don't really know what he's going to do after that, probably take me down. But I mean, I don't think he's going to have any success doing that. And then even if he does, I'll get up. And then I think it's going to be just me kickboxing him the whole time.
Man, intense confidence is exuding out of you right now.
Okay, good.
I like it.
Working on my confidence.
No, I mean, it's very blunt and it's very confident. Is this always how you are? I feel like you're a little more confident going into this fight, or is this new year, new you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I've had so many damn close fights. I'm kind of like, I don't want to be like. Mornings, just me and him one-on-one work, which is a lot and was a lot. And I really appreciate Trevor big time for putting in, you know, a lot of overtime hours for me to do that too. So I feel like with my style and just the way that I'm understanding everything, I also kind of have a little bit of a sense of relief now just in my camps, because I feel like the people that I've really have like a lot of trust in doing their jobs really well is I don't really need to like micromanage anything anymore. And I'm kind of taking a little bit of a step away from being like the head of the ship. And I'm kind of letting Trevor, Banks, and Ryan do their jobs a lot more. And yeah, so that's kind of like relieved me of some stress and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, as far as like me and my team and me just personal development stuff, I feel like I'm on a really good path. And then also, just kind of constantly working on myself and adding little things to myself and here and there. So yeah, I guess I feel pretty good in life.
I like that. That sentiment about like not being the guy who's close anymore, did that come after the Umar fight? Because it was another close one, and that maybe that could have been the one to get you back into the title fight picture. Did you say like, enough of this? I'm tired of this?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, losing just sucks. And especially when you're losing, like, especially after watching Umar and Merab, I was like, man, like, you could definitely do it, And I knew that I could always be champ. Like, I'm one of those guys that kind of lives in the delusion of thinking that he can do pretty much whatever he can or wants to, as long as he works hard enough at it. So I definitely have always known that I can be champ. But after kind of watching Umar and Merab, and then the way that kind of O'Malley and Merab went, I just, I'm so in that mix. I just kind of need to, like, have my couple of nights where I really perform and show out, and I can easily be there. And it's just like right at the fingertips, and I kind of feel like I'm at the like beginning of my peak years, and they don't last very long. So I'm trying to really, get everything going in these last couple of years that I got left.
I saw in January, this was right after Merab's win over Umar, you posted something about Sean being like, come on, let's do it. And this is one that we've been talking about for so long. No one wants to see you fight for the belt again. Let's go, me and you. Was any of that ever discussed? Was that ever on the table, or was that just... No.
I threw it out to him. I was like, hey guys, like, I really want to fight Sean. Can we please do that? And they were like, it's not going to be Sean next. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I understand. But, me and O'Malley, I think, would just be a really big fight whenever it does happen. I think that, O'Malley gets a rematch. He's kind of one of the UFC stars right now, and O'Malley's worked really hard to do that, kind of in the outside other parts of the fighting, and in the fighting too. He's had some really awesome fights too. So, and then Merab and him were it was a little bit close. The vibe of that fight was that Merab was in control most of the time, but it was still a fairly competitive fight. So, yeah, I'm not going to hate on Sean for kind of getting his rematch or whatever, but I just kind of want to fight him just because I want to fight some of the best guys in the world. And Sean and Merab are kind of the two guys in the top 5 that I haven't fought yet, and I really want to kind of see how I do against him.
Does it annoy you at all that he's getting another crack?
No, I don't really waste my time being super annoyed or mad about kind of the way that I know that it works.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, some people have that stuff and then some people don't. And I think that I get the luxury of always saying that I was myself, and I never really cared about being famous or making a ton of money or anything in this sport. I literally just wanted to be the best in the world at fighting and say that I was that. And so, I am doing things differently, and, whether you kind of like it or not, I really feel like my fights speak pretty well for themselves. And yeah, I'm just kind of, it's really weird because when I start to be inauthentic, like my skin crawls. So I literally like can't do it. So yeah, I mean, hard to be a star, I guess, maybe like that, or maybe I'm wrong. And I don't know. I'm just going to keep doing my thing, man. I just love martial arts, and I love learning about it, and I love fighting, and I just want to be the best in the world. And I just kind of keep it that simple.
I think you're coming into your own. I think people know who Cory Sandhagen is, and like your vibe, and like your voice, and like your demeanor. And I think that the version that you show us is a star, does have star qualities. Not everyone. You don't have to have crazy hair or tattoos or things like that to be a quote unquote star. I think you have a loyal fan base that I think, like, it's almost like, it reminds me of being a fan of a band that maybe isn't on like the top 40, but you're like proud to be a fan of that band because it's like, that means something about you if you're a fan. That's what it's like being a Cory Sandhagen fan. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? That's probably some type of reflection of kind of who I am too, is because I never really liked like the super, whatever everyone liked. Yeah. I always the person that was doing like a little bit of a different version than that. for whatever reason. But yeah, I'm cool with being that guy, man, just because, you know, I think that I have some super solid fans, and I know that, like, they're cool. You know, like, I feel like you kind of attract what you put out, and I think that I got some cool fans.
Yes. By the way, do you think Merab beats O'Malley in the rematch?
I think the likelihood is pretty high, but also, I mean, O'Malley is good, but I think that in a Merab versus O'Malley fight, you kind of only, like, Sean kind of only has a puncher's chance a little bit because, I mean, he's not going to win in the grappling areas. And then Sean's not really like a point guy when it comes to striking. So, I mean, Merab's pressure and his conditioning and all of that stuff, I just don't really see how O'Malley's going to win other than catching him with something good, which he definitely can do. Especially if you have a full another 25 minutes to try to do so. So, I mean, he definitely has a chance at winning, but I wouldn't put money on it. I'd bet on Merab for that one again, but O'Malley has a puncher's chance and he gets like twice as much time to try. So hopefully he does it, and then I knock out Figueiredo, and then me and O'Malley can do it for the belt. That would be perfect situation.
I wanted to ask you about a fight that happened in your weight class recently, and two parts about this fight. I'm talking about Song Yadong versus Henry Cejudo. Part one is you work with Trevor Whitman. Trevor Whitman has been the guy who's been pushing this new glove that he has said, well, it's not really that new anymore, but that he has said would I believe it's Onyx, right? That will stop eye pokes from happening. Have you tried these gloves, and can you confirm that they would help dramatically decrease the amount of eye pokes?
I haven't tried the ones that would decrease that, but I'll say that, I mean, Trevor uses like top of the line materials and stuff. So, I mean, the gloves that we get from the UFC, I'm honest, I don't even like hating on the new gloves. I like the new gloves way better than the old ones. They're just more narrow, and in my opinion, they like fit my hand better, but I kind of have narrow hands. So if you have thicker hands, I understand why you wouldn't really like them, but the material in them is kind of like, you know, not the greatest in the world, but that's okay because you're only fighting for one night or whatever. But I do think that it would be nice to get some Onyx gloves with some really nice materials and some nice foam to maybe potentially stop us from, you know, breaking our hands and stuff like that. But no, I haven't tried the finger poking ones, but yeah, finger pokes are pretty scary stuff. You know, like I see a fairly bad one, you know, about once a month training in the gym and stuff, and I've had my fair share of them. So I'd like to be able to get around that, but I kind of, it seems hard to do.
What did you make of how that all played out? Because clearly Cejudo got poked in the eye, and there wasn't a point taken away. And then even in the aftermath, like Song was fighting like this, right? Like clearly that in itself should be viewed as a foul because your fingers are just so outstretched right in front of his face. And then obviously the fight goes on. He tries to fight through it. He can't fight through it. They go to the scorecards. He loses. Seems like it was a bit of a raw deal for Henry Cejudo.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, Song fought really good in that fight, so Song was looking good in that one for sure. I mean, maybe Song, I don't think Song doesn't really give me the feeling of a guy that would maybe do that on purpose by any means. So,
right.
But yeah, I mean, I thought that Song fought really good in that fight. I think that I don't think that Henry like wanted a way out or anything. I think that he literally just couldn't see. I know that I got PRK like years ago, man. And for about a year or 2 years after that, PRK is like LASIK. It's just eye surgery.
Okay.
For like a year or two after that, dude, if I even got touched in my eye, it would scratch immediately. And for the rest of the day, I would just be on the couch, like in a tremendous amount of pain. Like the most amount of pain I've ever been in as a fighter is when you scratch your eye, like hands down. Nothing else hurts more than that. But I've had that happen in fights a couple times too, where you kind of see double and stuff like that. It happened against Marlon Moraes, and then it also happened against when I fought Song too. But it wasn't because Song poked me in the eye; it was just because I got hit and it scratched. But yeah, I mean, fighting with like that type of thing really sucks. So I mean, I'm not going to hate on Henry too much for that, but I do think that a younger, hungrier Henry maybe would have handled the situation differently.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate that. Umar Merab, you know Umar. Obviously he broke his hand. Do you think that fight goes differently if he doesn't break his hand, or did you think Merab was always going to win that fight?
No, I feel like Merab was always going to win that fight. I don't really think that there was. No, I mean, Merab is picking up a lot of steam. You can kind of tell when you're watching a fight of who's fighting better than the other person, even if they win a couple rounds or lose a couple rounds, or at least I feel like I sometimes can. And that doesn't always mean that they're going to win. But it's like when you watch any other sport and you're like, whoa, that team's playing good. Like even if the other team is doing some good stuff and keeping the score really close, you can kind of see that on a long enough timeline what's going to kind of happen. And I feel like that's what happened in that Merab versus Umar fight. But all the credit to the both of them. It was an amazing fight. I think that Umar was dead tired going into those last 2 rounds, and he kind of toughed out a couple of them. And then Merab is just like an absolute animal and being able to fight at that pace and then just keep composure and do his thing in all of the rounds too. So good on the both of them. I thought it was an awesome fight, but I don't think that the handbrake had a ton to do with it.
I see you're revved and ready to go. I see you training with your teammates. You seem to be, peaking. You're in high spirits. I saw you even knee one of your teammates so hard that he was throwing up blood. What kind? Are you a gym bully? What's going on here?
I can be a gym bully a little bit. We get better by beating each other up. And that dude, that's actually one of my main training partners and a guy that I coach pretty closely. His name's Connor Owens. But Connor had a fight coming up, so we were. I was not going easy on him on that day, and he had beet juice earlier that day. But dude, I swear to God, man, I thought that I had a moment where I thought that I had killed someone, and it really scared me because after that happened, that's like whatever. Like people get dropped by body shots, they go and puke outside. That's not a big deal. But when I looked outside and I saw just straight blood in my head, I was like, do I call the cops or do I rush him to the ambulance or rush him to the hospital right away? And then I see that he's laughing and my brain just did not know what to do with the information. And then he was like, it's beet juice, dude. And I was like, oh my God, dude, I thought that I killed you, you son of a bitch.
I can imagine. Well, how long did that last? Like a minute where you thought that you actually killed him, that it was blood?
No, it was like, he told me immediately, like, hey, dude, it's beet juice.
Okay.
Like, as he was laughing.
Terrifying.
But for a split second, my brain felt like ripped in half. I was like, what's going on in reality,
By the way, what are you reading these days? I always love to hear what you're reading and what you're thinking about outside of fighting.
Yeah, I've been reading this book called Saga. It's like a graphic novel. It's one of the more famous ones. It's really good. I like it a lot, but I've been reading a lot of sci-fi stuff lately. I'm trying to write my own book. I've been kind of doing that for the last couple of years, actually. I just kind of haven't really been talking about it because I didn't know if I was ever actually going to finish it. But it's kind of coming to a place where maybe it'll get finished. But it's kind of just a sci-fi comic book. I got to get it illustrated and all of that stuff, so that's going to take some time. But as far as finally getting down the final draft, which I've said 1,000 times, and I just keep revising it. But that's almost done. So that's kind of what I do with my free time now, is just kind of write my story.
Wow. And so a sci-fi comic book is what you're writing?
Yeah, it's a sci-fi comic book. I really like sci-fi stuff. I think that it's cool. And then I have a lot of interest around human nature and human psychology and how religion overlaps with that and how our beliefs and values kind of impact our perspective and change the ways that we live dramatically. And so the book is there's some world building stuff, but it's more around the theme of, religion and God. And if God could, if we could have a personal conversation with God, and there's a way to do that, for everyone, would everyone do it, and how society would react to that, and just all of that stuff. So that's kind of what I've been writing because that's just been an interest of mine for forever. So,
do you consider yourself religious?
I think everyone has their religion, even if they're not religious. I think I would kind of define religion as trying to organize the unknowable things in life, and I think that everyone does that. Whether that just be setting a value to be the most important thing, like their family or making money or approaching whatever type of God you want to define in your head, or individuation or enlightenment or whatever you want to call it. But I think that everyone definitely has that. Even atheists have their way of organizing the world in a certain way where it's like, no, when we die, the lights turn off. So we should live in XYZ way. So I think that we're all religious in our own way, but my idea of God is kind of like a sci-fi creature. So yeah, that's kind of fun, but it's like a never-ending thing for that, you know. But yeah, it's a big time interest of mine. I've always been super fascinated with the way that people view the whatever is going on in life.
So you do believe in a higher power? You say like a sci-fi creature. Do you pray? Do you talk to this creature?
Yeah, I think that all of those things are really important. I definitely like believe in unscientifically studied things. Like I believe in energy. I believe in I believe in trying to like listen to your heart and listen to your intuition. Although I don't think it's like this kind of gamey thing where it's just like my gut told me this. Like I don't think it's that. I think that your intuition is something that you hone, and you can only hone it through deeply knowing yourself and your flaws and your awesome things about you. And so I believe in like an inner person inside of all of us that is knowing more what's going on than what our brains kind of tell us what's going on. And so I definitely think that we have a lot of that in common as people, and it could be this shared idea about, you know, it being like this collective hive mind where we all have a little piece of God inside of us, and maybe it exists somewhere else out in the world and is projected to us, or maybe it doesn't. But I do think that we have like an inner knower inside of us that's pretty wise.
Do you follow that intuition? Like when you make decisions about your life, about your career, do you check in with that person, or do you lead and they kind of go along?
I mean, as much as I can, if I can, I think that there's like two pieces of that. There's like knowing what your heart says and then having the courage to do it. I don't know which one I struggle with more, to be honest, but I definitely think there's two of those. But yeah, I try, I guess. I think everyone kind of tries, but then you have to start talking values, and it's like, well, what do I value? So what am I trying to get out of life? And if that's not in a good place, you might start acting kind of shitty without knowing it. And then so that's pretty interesting to think about too.
Do you speak to that higher power before a fight?
I say a prayer that neither one of us get hurt and that both of us, do our best and may the best man win. I don't really pray for myself to win or anything, but I kind of just want us both to leave the cage safely and for whoever's better to win. I don't ever pray for myself to win. I always want the better man to win.
Wow. Really? Even if you're not the man on that day, you don't want to prevail?
No, I don't. Winning the belt to me it's like, it doesn't matter if you actually aren't the best. So if I go in and like accidentally poke a guy in his eye and then have to like beat him up for the next 15 minutes, like that won't feel very good. I think that the point of fighting is to like reach your ultimate level of skill in something. And no, man, I really care a lot more about it now because I'm older, you know, like obviously I care about money and I care about all of these things, but I kind of only care about that in like the material like realm of things where I gotta like tell my brain that we're safe and stuff. And if I collect these resources, I'll be safe. But outside that, in like a higher, like more inner me, I think that there's just more important things. And one of the more important things is like that your title that you have is actually true. And that's why sports, I think, are so awesome, is because we have an arena where we can actually say who's true and who's not true, like who's better and who's not better. You don't get that in all worlds. You don't get that in business. You don't get that in other things. You kind of only get that in sports. So, you know, sometimes the integrity of that gets lost a little bit, but not for me.
Yesterday we spoke to Jalen Turner. It was an unbelievable conversation, and you know, he just retired suddenly at 29, and he talked about how I'm very much paraphrasing this. He doesn't want to hurt people anymore. He just doesn't want to be that guy. Can you sympathize with that? I ask you this because you're very introspective, you're very thoughtful, and a similar demeanor to his. Like, you're not like alpha male. Can you sympathize with that sentiment?
Yeah, I mean, I've been there, you know, and the way that I've gotten over it is like, we're not really, you know, like we're not killing each other. We're not like, you know, like if you want to like fill the spectrum of like really mean, messed up things and fighting, or like really nice things, we're not even near the really mean things, you know? So like, hurting people is not what we're really doing, you know, like it is and it isn't. But no, I mean, that's not really like, we're not killing each other, man. Like, I mean, the worst that probably happens is you get like a headache for a few months, you know, and over the course of a lifetime, it could be way worse. So, you know, I kind of always see my opponents like that too. Whenever that thought will pop in my head, it's like, ah, man, like this guy seems like a good guy. I don't really want to hurt him that bad. It's like, just rub some dirt in it. He'll be fine. You know?
Fair enough. We've talked about the YouTube channel. What do I get if I subscribe to the OnlyFans?
Same stuff. You get
stuff.
Yeah, no. So you get courses. All of my instructionals are being sold on OnlyFans. I worked out a pretty good deal with OnlyFans, so thanks to them for having them all on their page. But yeah, for this fight blogs though, because I literally can't stand watching myself doing a fight blog. I tried them last time and then maybe one time before this, and I was like, dude, I can't have you following me around with the camera anymore. So these fight blogs are going to be, I tried to make them pretty funny, which they kind of took a lot of work, and we're still working on them, but those are going to come out 5 weeks before the fight. So at the end of this month, hopefully, I think they're funny. They're a little bit weird, but I think that they're funny. We're going to have some kind of office style vlogs coming out on the page. So that'll be fun. And yeah, so that'll be cool.
I love that. Okay. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to your return. Always enjoy these chats. Always look forward to them. Always appreciate them. You're one of a kind. You're a superstar, dare I say, Cory Sandhagen. So thank you, as always, for the time. Good luck in training, and can't wait for it. May 3rd. The whole show is going out. The whole crew is going out. So if you see them in the crowd, feel free to wave to them.
All right, let's go. Nice. Yeah, thanks for having me on, Ariel. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. There he is, the great Cory Sandhagen, joining us May 3rd, headliner against Deiveson Figueiredo. I hit the thing here, Frankie. Did you see that? But we got a new thing. I hit this thing.
Yeah, and you couldn't even hear it, right?
Well, I think I heard it, but maybe you didn't hear it?
We didn't hear it, no.
Okay, perfect. Great stuff there. Always love talking to Cory. What a guy. What a great fighter. What a great personality. And very happy that he is finally returning to action. May 3rd, UFC Des Moines. The talk of the town. My friends, I'm so excited about our last guest of the day. I have to say, there I was on a Sunday morning walk, and I rack my brain and I say, I want some fun guests, some different guests, some big guests, some unique guests. And I'm going through the Rolodex, and in my mind, the Rolodex, we don't have Rolodexes anymore. And I'm thinking, who can I get? Who could be fun? Who could be pertinent? Who's a big name? Who we haven't talked to in a long time? And all of a sudden, my old friend Bill Goldberg comes to mind, just like that, out of nowhere. And so I go through, and I actually sent him a DM, and I'm like, he's probably not going to see this. He gets a million DMs. So I unsent the DM, and I'm like, I think I have his number because he was on once when he was doing work with Glory back in 2016. Do I just text the guy? And I did, and I kid you not. This is one of the most famous people on the planet, one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time, one of the most beloved pro wrestlers of all time, WCW champion, WWE champion, Hall of Famer. He probably responded within 3 minutes. It was unbelievable. So quickly that I thought perhaps it was, a new person, a new owner of that number, and they were just messing with me because there's just no way that he's that nice and he responds that quickly. And so let's find out. Is this some random guy, or is it in fact the great Bill Goldberg joining us? Let us go to the screen right here and see. And there he is, the man.
First and foremost, thank you very much, Ariel. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know how many of those boxes I actually check. The boxes, the accolades, and the intro for me. So it's always an honor to be on with you. You're a very good friend of mine, and that's what I do to very good friends of mine. I respond back within 3 minutes.
You do. You really do. And I appreciate it. And you're just being humble. I get it. I appreciate that as well. But you're
I'm the captain self-deprecator. You know that. The fact is that you're only as good as your next event. You're only as good as your next conversation, your next day. And for so many people who live in the past, man, I'm luckier than hell. I got so many opportunities. I've got so many fans, thankfully, still. I guess I did something right. But, it's just every day's a new day, man. So it's an honor and a privilege to be on with you, brother. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Does Bill Goldberg deal with imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I mean, everybody does to an extent, right? I mean, what's your definition of imposter syndrome?
Okay, so imposter syndrome to me, and it's something that I think about a lot as I try to expand and do new things. It's like, am I worthy of this? Should I be here? Why am I here? Should be someone else here. Am I good enough? Am I qualified enough? And with you, like, I don't believe you're doing the shtick of like, oh, I'm not a legend, I'm not this and that. There's a part of me that almost wonders, like, do you actually believe that? There's no way, right? There's no way you believe that you are not those things.
Oh, 1,000% I do. I mean, again, you never pat yourself on the back. You never rest on your laurels of yesteryear. And I mean, hey, man, anybody that would say that, I'm absolutely honored and privileged. But again, man, every day is a new day, and you got to redefine yourself every day. I tell my son that, who's playing at Colorado right now, and every day is a freaking struggle, man. And you got to just wipe yesterday away and work on the present and the future. And, I'll tell you a little story. I just hired a new company to take over my social media.
Yes.
And they do my Instagram and my Twitter, which now is X. And I actually lost Twitter like 6 years ago. It's a funny but not real funny story as to how I lost it. But they got it back in people have been trying to get it back for years. And they got it back while I was on the phone with them in about a 15 to 20 minute period of time. And it's funny because anybody who follows me on social media knows that I don't usually, first and foremost, I do my accounts myself, or I did up until 10 days ago. And I did that basically so that everybody would understand that it was actually me and that I cared and that I took the time to respond to the people that have put me in the place that I'm in right now. Well, some places. But the fact is that you've seen wrestling reemerge itself on my social media.
Yeah.
And there is a time and a place for everything. And the fact is, after watching the things that through analytics, this company has deemed worthy of being on my social media to drive traffic, I did some pretty freaking cool stuff. And I'm pretty amazed at some of the physical feats that I was able to accomplish, and the feat of actually becoming a professional wrestler after a very short NFL career. Right. So, man, every day is awesome. I'm sitting here on 200 acres. As I said, my son, plays for Colorado. I'm about to smash somebody for the final time, hopefully in 2025, in the wrestling ring, and most likely hang my boots up, 99%. And it can always be worse, man. It really can. And I am truly the self-deprecator, because the second that you start believing your own shit, other people's accolades that pump you up every single day, that's the day that you don't progress. And so I fell short in the NFL. If you listen to 90% of the people, in the wrestling business or that are fans of wrestling, not 90%, maybe 78%. I was nothing in the ring. They don't credit me for starting probably the most replicated finishing move in wrestling now. So 90% of the time I buy into it and I self-deprecate, and it just makes me work harder. That's all. In a very long answer to your question.
No. I love that. I actually have like 8 follow-ups from just that answer alone. Could I just ask you refer to those people, the detractors, if you will. Do you pay attention to them? Do they get to you? The revisionist
not at all.
historians.
Not at all, because everyone is a human, cares about what people think, but you have to care to a certain level, number one, and you have to care about what they think and how they express their thoughts towards you. And if it's negative, you have to learn to turn it into a positive. So all it is fuel for me. I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm not afraid of going out there and being better than I was yesterday, like I said. And if these people don't deem me worthy of being in the position that I am and being Goldberg and attaining some of the goals that I've attained, then I'm going to show them by the next thing that I do. So it's a blessing and it's a curse. And I've said this many times. And I try to teach a lot of athletes coming up, but most importantly, I try to teach my son that it's a very good thing to be extremely hard on yourself, but it's also a very bad thing, right? Because you have to step back every once in a while and really look at your accomplishments and understand that all the hard work has paid off, and it's gotten me to a place that I never would have dreamed that I would have been at.
I love how much you talk about your son, about your family, about your wife. Like, you could tell how much you adore them. And, your son, as you mentioned, Gage, University of Colorado, and starting to look like he's got the neck. He's got, like, it looks like the photos that we see of you, there you are with him, and you could see how proud you are of him. And I'm lucky enough to have 3 children myself, and my older boys, 12 and 11, are starting, I can see when they play sports, they're starting to look like me and act like me. And when they're 5 or 6, you don't remember what you were like at 5 or 6. So it's hard to say, like, oh, I was this way. And so now that you're seeing him get to be this amazing athlete, playing the sport that you adored so much, can you even describe what that feeling is like?
Well, 1,000%. He had a bad day at practice yesterday or something, or one day this week. And, he gets down on himself. And like I said, that's a blessing and it's a curse. Getting down on yourself makes you work harder, but getting down on yourself can grind you down to a point where, it's hard to pull out of. There's a lot of me in him. And I try to live vicariously through him when he's on the football field. And, the struggles that he's going through right now are struggles that I went through. Man, my brother went through. My brother played at the Raiders for a very short period of time, and every time he heard a knock on the door, he hid under the bed so they couldn't cut him, because he figured if they can't find him, they can't get rid of him, right? So, again, it's you have to think lesser of yourself so that tomorrow you can be a better you. That's just how we work, man. It's part of being Jewish, you know that.
Yes, absolutely. So is self-deprecating. And so there we were in Atlanta in October. It's Bad Blood, and they come to town, and there's Gunther, and there he is addressing you. And your son is by your side, and he's taking some shots, and you jump over the guardrail, and there's a thing there with security, and we presume, here are some of the images, Triple H, Paul Levesque is in the ring as well. We presume, like, we are building towards something. This is Pro Wrestling 101. Although nothing ever happened in the aftermath. Why?
Yeah, there's probably a reason for that. I'm a WCW guy, man. They want to accentuate the John Cena tour and all that kind of stuff. And if anything ever happens, I'll pop out of midair and do my thing, wipe my hands clean of it, and leave, and they'll be done with me. So there's a lot of truth to that. But hey,
what do you mean? What do you mean? What are you trying to say here? You lost me there for a moment.
Come on, man. I'll always be a WCW guy.
You still believe that?
Look at how they treated Sting.
But you were there longer than Sting was. That was like a cup of coffee.
No. Well, you mean a WWE?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was talking to Booker T the other day, and if you don't get into the wrestling business wanting to be a part of the pinnacle of the wrestling business, which is WrestleMania and pay-per-views as they used to be called, then you're crazy, right? And so I had goals to attain at the WWE, but the reality is, when we were going head to head, we were kicking their ass, they were kicking our ass. It was back and forth like a big heavyweight fight, and I'm a football player innately, man, and they were the enemy, right? And I still believe at the bottom of my heart, at the end of the day, it's still kind of that way a little bit.
So how did that all come about?
What?
The whole thing with you and Gunther. They call you up. They say, we want to do this. We have a plan. It surely wasn't just like that one-off.
No, because I had expressed a number of times that I wanted another match after Roman. That Vince had promised me another match, because not too many people know this, but I took the Roman match with like a month prior notice, and I had COVID. And, that's not the way to go out. It's surely not the way to go out, and surely not the way to go out in Saudi Arabia, where so many of my fans couldn't be there live to watch the finale, right? So I always, in the bottom of my heart, in my heart, wanted to go out and present myself a little bit more positively than I was able to. I'm the mild understatement guy, but Paul and I spoke, and we came to an agreement that in 2025 I'd have my retirement match. Don't know when it is, don't know who it's against, but they planted a little seed like they always do, and don't think that there may not be a swerve here and there. But it's professional wrestling. It is what it is. It's not what you see is what you get, and if anyone knows that, it's you.
Do you like the idea of the retirement match being against Gunther?
If it was, then I guess I could look at it like I'm kind of passing the torch. He's a young talent comparatively. Well, everyone's young comparatively, but he's the new part of the new generation, and they need to be lifted. I'm not going to say lifted up, but I think if that were the case, that if it was Gunther and I, that it would be logical. There's some heat there, obviously, that's already been placed.
Yep.
And he's the new generation. I'm the old generation. It's kind of like a passing of the torch in a way. And, I wouldn't turn that one down by any stretch of imagination, because you don't ever open your mouth in front of my wife and my son negatively about me. That guy that you see over my shoulder, one of my shoulders.
Yeah.
I just got off another podcast, and I'm looking at that guy, and there's not really much difference between me and that dude up there. And that was almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
Right. One of the dreams of my life was to have an automotive car show, automotive series, right? Episodic automotive content. And I was lucky enough. That was the first one that I did. And I'm looking back, and the truth is that I'm 58 years old, man. Certain things are a lot harder than they used to be. When I look, I might be the only one in the world that has a 3,000 square foot gym on top of his garage and doesn't have a mirror in it, right? Because I don't want to not be that guy for the rest of my life. But I'm always going to be that guy. And whether I'm on the football field, whether I'm in the wrestling ring, whether I'm doing my car show, whether I'm at a Glory event or a UFC event or a One Championship event, I'm always that guy. And if I'm going to have to do this retirement match in 2025, I need to reacquaint myself with that guy more often. So I'm always going to be that guy, man, and I cannot wait to present him at 58 years old.
If you had the pencil, if you can, lay it out for yourself, who's the match against? Where is it? When is it? The retirement match.
I never got a chance to get my hand around Cena's throat. That might have been cool. There's a lot of people that I would have loved to have faced back in the day, but the fact is that you look at what does that do for the business now, and a lot of people that don't even remember me that watch wrestling right now, and a lot of people obviously don't know me because they speak negatively of me, and I think that I was an innovator of sorts. There's a plethora. I'd love to have a rematch with Roman. There's so many guys that are so talented and on the cusp of stardom, if not, there yet, that are possibilities. Braun Breaker, hell, think about it. It's a logical solution. But it's all in how the powers that be want to make it happen. Dana White's the biggest example, right? Vince used to be the biggest example. Now it's Triple H. So we'll figure it out, and hopefully at the end of the day, I'm able to present myself in a positive manner to where the people of today who don't remember me will sure as frick remember me after they see me my last time, and it won't be in a negative way. Physically, hopefully physically understanding that, yeah, I do have a couple limitations, but
is that in stone? Like, is this a guarantee that it's happening in 25?
Yes.
Okay. Time frame?
Don't have any idea. I just know that I got stem cells. What's today? Wednesday? I got stem cells 5 weeks and 6 days ago. And I'm cleared physically in a very short period of time, and I haven't been able to do much at all preparation wise. But I think that the positives of the stem cell treatment were such a positive that it was worth me staying out of the gym for the longest period of time I ever have in my entire life, and staying away from physical activity. And I'm going to jump in the ring and start sparring, 8 days from now. I got to be smart about it, but 2025, man, it's going to happen, and I don't know who it's going to be against. I don't know when it's going to be, but I guarantee you, whoever it's against, they're going to understand what it's like being in there with Goldberg. And Goldberg 58, Goldberg 28. Well, probably wasn't in the business at that time, but it's going to be fun. I hope. We'll see.
There seemed to have been this narrative that the Saudis loved you and that they demanded you be on those cards. A, was that true? Was that a thing? And B, does that mean that the retirement match is going to be in Saudi Arabia?
I wouldn't think that it would be, again, because of one of the reasons why I was displeasured with the way I went out. Right. I went out in Saudi, and I went out, Roman, and the short period of time, and I was sick, but I'd love to do it here in the States. I got to do it stateside. I have to. About the Saudis adoring me or whatever it may be, I'm appreciative of any positive response anywhere I go. And as a Jewish person, I must tell you that I had reservations about going to Saudi because, the first time we went was years ago, and it was a different landscape than it is now. And I'll tell you what, I was so pleasantly surprised. I was flabbergasted that, man, they were so welcoming, and it was one of the best, receptions I've gotten anywhere, and I'm so appreciative of that. And it shows you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't have predisposed opinions about things without actually knowing what the hell you're talking about, and experiencing it yourself in real time is what it's all about. It's not about asking somebody about their experience. So.
I had the same experience, by the way. I had the same feelings, and then I went there last March and felt the same type of warm reception. Can I ask you, I was thinking about this last night, can someone named Goldberg get into wrestling in 2025 and be liked and be successful and be the fan favorite that you were?
Absolutely. I wrestled in Alabama, the place where you would think Alabama, deep South, Louisiana, a lot of places where people like us probably weren't as welcomed as they are these days. But at the end of the day, they didn't care what my name was. It did not matter. That's why I kept the name Goldberg. Well, that's one of the reasons why I kept the name Goldberg. But because it wouldn't matter as long as I was able to perform something that they had never seen before. As long as I could do something that made them sit on the edge of their seat, not knowing whether I was going to rip a guy's face off or whether I was going to, catch on fire in the sparks. They didn't know what I was going to do. And that's the only thing I've ever really emulated, really copied on somebody, is the feeling that Mike Tyson gave people once they were sitting down with that popcorn, eyes freaking glued on that television, and they wouldn't move for a second because they didn't know what was going to happen. And you kept them on the edge of their seat. Hogan taught me a lot about that. And I just believe that if you're going to do anything, there's no reason to be like anybody else. And I wasn't like anybody else. And the people didn't care what my name was. It didn't matter. I just did stuff that people had never seen before. And I got them excited about it. And I was able to, draw that line again between fiction and reality.
That Roman match that you speak of in Saudi was in 22. Why nothing in 23? Obviously 24 came and went. Here we are, 25. Why that break in between? If it seemed to have not sat so well with you, why not one immediately after?
What am I going to pick up the phone and beg somebody to give me a retirement match?
I don't do
that.
You're freaking Bill Goldberg.
I don't do that, man. I'm Bill Goldberg, but I lead my life in a very different way. I'm very simplistic, and I don't beg for shit. I'm never going to do that. I never have, and I never will. And I was lucky enough one day to be on my tractor here on the property, cutting the grass, and I get a phone call from Hunter, right? Mr. Levesque. And I was astonished. I hung up the first time because I didn't know who it was. And, once we had the conversation, I was extremely appreciative and honored that he would think of me. And, it was an interview that I did that he said that he saw that I thought I was owed a retirement match and if I would still be up for that. And, maybe let's talk. And again, it's a testament to, I guess, something that I did in the past because I deserved that kind of respect. We all know it's a business decision at the end of the day. To what degree, nobody really knows. But I do believe that he was speaking from the heart and he thought that, if that's something that I really wanted, then I deserved it. And so, like I said, it took him that long to call me. I wasn't going to pick up the phone, man. I wasn't going to do it. I don't work like that. If I had to go down like I went down in Saudi, then so be it. Because people's perception of me doesn't define who I am. And my perception of myself, sometimes though extremely critical, I gotta step back and I gotta applaud some of the things that I did because, some of them were kind of cool and I'm still doing cool stuff. I'm extremely lucky. I got a show coming out on Paramount Plus called Carlectables. And it's again about my passion. It's automotive. It's fun. It's friends of mine. I get to fly around in helicopters. I'm sitting in my garage right now. My neighbor landed right in my freaking driveway and picked me up. We went to Houston and drove the fastest car in the world. Wow. I mean, what kind of cool shit is that? I mean, it was unbelievable. So I'm living the dream, man. It's tough. Like I tell my son every day, to get up and to have the energy to try to make yourself better than you were the day before. And that's all my intent is now, whether I'm a better father, whether I'm a better husband, or I'm a better fisherman, or I'm a better hunter, or I'm a better car guy, whatever it is, man. I mean, spinning your wheels and being like a hamster ain't for me. I mean, I ain't a Tesla guy. You know what that means. Sorry if you drive a Tesla.
No, I do not. I've heard you talk about your relationship with Hunter, like way back in the day when you first came. Would that conversation suggest that you guys are on good terms?
Yeah, man. We were different people back then, I believe. Number one. Number two, yeah, we all grow up, and he's a consummate businessman now. He's segued into the role, with a tremendous amount of success. And I like to think, as I said, I now have an 18-year-old son, coming up on my 20th year anniversary with my beautiful wife. And man, I've grown up a little bit. And my dad always taught me that, one of the best things in life to live by is the path of least resistance. Right. So take that and define that however you may. But, it's a simple yes or no question. And for me, it's always based on my ability to replicate something that I did to make people excited about what I did in the past, right? And physically, at 58 years old, that's a high mountain to climb, number one. And number two, it's not like I haven't had injuries that have been debilitating over the years. But since my son has left, I keep referring to Gage, but I just love him to death.
Yeah.
Since he left, I lived in the place that I live right now for 6 years. Okay. They know me as Goldberg, but they also know me as Gage's dad and Wanda's husband. But they haven't really seen Goldberg. They really haven't. And I'd say the last, I don't know, couple days, couple weeks, couple months that I know that I have to get myself in that mindset and bring that Godzilla dude back. These people are around here are learning who I am, especially the guy that was parked on my grass in front of our high fence yesterday in his Tesla, by the way, feeding our animals and thought that, number one, it was respectable to park on someone's grass, and number two, to feed their animals. I mean, I got to be me again. And these people are kind of finding out who me used to be. And I'm kind of liking it. I enjoy it. It's a high test lifestyle. It's a high test life. I'm on the edge all the time, but man, I got it. Your producer called me a minute ago. I was working out and I've eaten since also. right? So I'm on a regimen again. I'm turning into Godzilla, and as I said, it's kind of fun.
Did you ever think that we would live in a time where Vince McMahon was alive but not running WWE?
No, not at all. Never. I never would have imagined that. It must have been something pretty gnarly to get him out of that role.
Yes.
I'm not going to get into it by any stretch. It's all an opinion, and I don't give opinions. You base everything on fact, and then people are judged by facts, and you go on. But all I can say is Vince was always wonderful to me, other than not giving me my retirement match, but he couldn't because he wasn't part of the organization anymore. So up until then, I mean, you got your guys, you got your Vince guys, and you got your guys who weren't Vince guys. And I like to think that I was a Vince guy. And you treat people how you want to be treated. And, he always treated me with respect, I believe. And so I tried to show him the same. And so if you're ever going to try to get some kind of bad news for me about Vince and that situation, I can't give it, man. But no, I never thought there would be a day that I'd be alive or he'd be alive, and he wasn't leading the charge.
That wasn't what I was getting at. I really do think I agree with you that Paul has done a tremendous job as the chief content officer, whatever you want to call him. And his latest masterpiece, I think, is this John Cena heel turn. Dying to know your take on it. How we've only just begun. There was the turn, and then there was the thing on Monday. I'm not sure how much of it you pay attention to, but your thoughts on John Cena turning heel finally.
Last time I watched it was when I was on.
Okay.
Right.
Not even a clip. Not even something being sent to you.
I'll see if it pops up on social media. And you hear stuff. And the fact is that I think Cena's turn is most comparable to Hogan turning.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I could have done the same thing, but I refused to. Now, that was when I didn't know the business. But to me, it meant more for the Make-A-Wish kid that's in my dressing room the night that I'm wrestling Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and he's coming back from, some kind of surgery, and I would turn heel that night, and they wanted me to do the thing. And, for the business, it would have been freaking unparalleled, right? It would have been like what these guys are doing with Cena, I believe, because I was the Make-A-Wish dude. Before Cena was doing his thing at WWE, that was kind of me at WCW. And I was the antithesis of what people thought out of the ring, or I could be at least. I'll rip your face off, but then when I get out of the ring, you give me your baby, and I'll hold up and smile and give them a moment of their lifetime if that's what they like. So I think Cena's turn is freaking fabulous, no question about it. I don't know how it's all transpired week after week, but I know how it happened. And bravo to all of them, and bravo to John's smart enough to understand how monumental it would be. At the time when they wanted me to do it, I wasn't smart enough. But as I said, it meant more to me for one little girl to have a smile on her face than for me to come back and she's freaking in tears, which is what happened. So I don't know. Call me I'm a mush for kids, man.
There was that, I think, like a 2-month period in 2000 where I think it was Bischoff and Russo that got you to turn with. They were desperate at that point for something, and then they quickly pulled the plug. Do you regret not ever? Because really, other than that, you were never a heel, nothing close to a heel. Do you regret never having that run where you were a total bad guy?
Well, being a heel gives you the ability to get your ass kicked and not be that superhuman guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there were a number of negatives to my character, and that was one of them. Is that in that respect, it was one dimensional, and so you can only be that good guy for so long. That's my opinion on it.
Okay, did you ever pitch it later on?
No. I had such a bad experience with it when it happened. I didn't want to go back to it, and I didn't understand the business enough. And, honestly care about the business enough at that time in retrospect and nobody really asked me to do it either. Again, it was never really an option. I think I would have said yes wholeheartedly, but I don't think it ever really came up again.
Do you have any regrets when you think about that period? Not the heel period, but just like the totality of your career as you're rounding third here.
Oh yeah, I wish I would have picked up the sledgehammer walking out the door at WCW to smash the limousine instead of using my hand.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I would have let Jericho have a program with me before I did. I wish I would have done a lot of things differently. But again, nobody's perfect, and you live your life and live with the trials and tribulations and try to be a better person and learn from them all. And yeah, man, I would have changed a lot. There's no question about it. But we did a benefit the other night on Buff Bagwell's YouTube channel, and at the end of it, Dallas Page and Sting and I were on, and it was funny because Dallas was talking about a match or the match that he and I had at Halloween Havoc, and it went over, and famously it went over the television time, and so. Or the pay-per-view time. I don't know which. Yeah, the pay-per-view time. And so people had to see it on Monday Nitro or something. I can't remember exactly what the stuff was, but and I made the joke that Dallas came to me with 14 pages of a match, and I think he wanted me to spear him 7 times. And prior to that, I'd only speared anybody 1 time. And Sting, being Sting, said, "You know what, Bill? I think that was one of the best matches and best decisions of your life." And you can look at it myopically, or you can look at it in its totality, right? Business-wise, I should have made more of those decisions, and I shouldn't have been so protective of my character. A lot of people say you're a mark for yourself, right? Well, I was a mark for myself. You know why? Because nobody else had my back. Like nobody. I came as a professional football player, and I tried to take dudes' jobs that had been in this sport and in this business since childhood mentally, because that's the only thing they ever wanted to do. And it meant so much to them. And I took that for granted, a little bit. And, so I always came in it with a different mentality. But at the end of the day, if I didn't have that different mentality, I wouldn't have been, what I was. And what I was something different. And I think I was fairly successful at it. And I still haven't seen people do some of the stuff that I was able to do.
There wasn't a vet in the early days who took you under his wing that,
Oh, there were a number of vets that did that, but not, to a degree, right? Dallas Page, man, instrumental. Kevin Nash, instrumental. Sting, I bow to him because he taught me so much in the business. The Steiner brothers, Kurt Hennig. I mean, I had the opportunity to be with so many unbelievably unique characters that knew so much about the business. But again, there's so much of the, I got to take care of myself kind of thing because nobody else is going to do it, right? And nobody else has your best interest like you do. So you have to be protective to a certain degree. I don't think you do anymore, maybe, but if a veteran comes to me and wants to put a match together, and I'm on a winning streak, and he wants me to punch him 50 times and he doesn't hit the canvas, well, it's not really going to make sense. Barbarian did a belly-to-belly suplex to me from the top turnbuckle in the corner, and I'll never forget it. I came in the back, and Bischoff yelled at me, and he said, "Don't you ever do that again." And I'm like, why? I look up to Barb, and I look up to guys like that, and Haku. They were staples in the business. Mm-hmm. They were men. I mean, this was not playing with boys with those guys, and they demanded and deserved so much respect that I didn't question anything. Who the hell am I to question anything? I'd only been in the business 6 months, or I think when that happened, 6 weeks. But yeah, man, there were people that looked out for you, but truthfully, in the end, everyone's got their own best interest at heart, and sometimes it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. I mean, and I'm not saying anything negative about any of the guys that brought me up by any means. I'm just saying that no, I think people were too involved with what they were trying to do, and rightfully so, in being successful, as opposed to trying to teach me the ropes.
You mentioned the Steiners. Braun Breaker, incredible, and he reminds me a lot of you. Do you see any of yourself in him?
Braun, we've got a relationship that goes back 20 years, man. Almost. Riding with his dad and his uncle, I learned a lot in the business, and that kid was growing up just like Gage did when I retired, a couple times ago at WWE, and he was around, and we knew he was always going to be a dude just like us, following our footsteps in a certain way, whether it's in the business or another endeavor. I mean, he and I spoke a lot when he was in college playing football. We spoke in high school when he was playing football. We spoke when he was attempting to play in the NFL. And we've spoken a number of times since he's, turned into who he has at WWE. I'd say we're really close, man. We don't wear it on our sleeves, but people don't ask, and you asked. And so, yeah, we're extremely close. And I see a lot of myself in him. And, if it wasn't for his respect for me and my respect for him, along the way, people have tried to get him to do more things that I kind of did, right? And whether it's a phone call to me or just a no, man, he's a great kid. He's a wonderful kid, and he's got his only limitation is his height. That's it. Mm-hmm. There ain't nothing in the world that can stop him. He can't, unless he can grow like 8 inches taller. That's the only thing in the world that can stop that kid. And that's a formidable resume right there. I mean, that kid deserves everything, and the sky's the limit for him. And to be compared to his 4.3 in the 40-yard dash, delivering that spear, man, I'll take that.
Considering that, also Scott's son, I believe Brock, seems to be on route to a wrestling career as well. Is it inevitable that young Gage will at some point at least attempt to follow in your footsteps in the wrestling world?
There's nothing inevitable, Ariel. You know that. What the fact is that it's hopefully always going to be an option if he chooses to go in that direction.
Would you want him to?
If I was his freaking manager, yeah, because nobody could do anything to him.
If you were his dad, as you are, if he said to you, "Pops, should I do this?"
You know what? Yes, I'd let him do it if he looked me in the eye and had the conviction in his soul that that's what he was going to put 120% of his attitude and his life towards to be the best. I knew he could freaking do it because he can do anything he wants. Most people can do anything they want. They just have to put their mind to it and be willing to put the work in. And that's the problem with a lot of people now is they want shit for free, and they want it to be given to them, and they want respect given to them, and they want, this and that. And you got to work for it, man. And the people that I see walking this earth that have learned that that's the way you should live your life, they're always going to succeed no matter what they get into. So in another long answer, I support him in anything he does, short of being like a crack dealer or something,
right.
But I mean, yeah, if the kid loves it, then he can do it, man. And I'm completely behind him.
I love it.
And I read this right there. Thank you very much for putting this stuff up. It really means a lot to me. This kid just did 24 reps with 225, right, on the bench. And that's like combine numbers for linebackers, not 18-year-old, redshirt freshman numbers. So he has the potential to play football if that's what he wants to do. He's playing for, an ex-teammate of mine. And, Gage, I only let him play in the 9th grade. That was the first year I let him play football.
Oh, wow.
I got him into Muay Thai when he was 5, to be able to protect himself, because having the name like Goldberg on the back of your anything jersey is a target. And so I wanted him to be prepared physically, mentally, and emotionally for what he was about to embark upon. And I think he's performed admirably, and he's got a hell of a long way to go. But, he's 18 years old, man. I mean, give this kid time. In the day and age of portals, when you got 20, 22-year-old or 25-year-old kids that are like in the, on their 8th year of eligibility. It's tough for a kid to come out of high school and make a difference on a football team, especially a Division I team. So it's a tough hill to climb. But again, like I said, if he wanted to do the wrestling thing, whatever, it wouldn't be my first choice by any stretch. But I want him to be himself. He's a very independent kid. He's not following in my footsteps by any means. He wants to be Gage. He doesn't want to be me.
I always appreciated that you had a great affinity for the martial arts, your style, the gloves, talking about MMA, talking about UFC. Remember seeing you at the fights when Brock was fighting, and obviously your involvement.
Dude, I went to the first 4 UFCs, I think. Right?
Is that true?
When I was cut from the Carolina Panthers, I was the first guy cut from the Carolina Panthers, right? And I remember during practice, we were in Charlotte. We drove to Charlotte to go to one of the fights, right? And it was right in the embryonic time of it. And I've been around that for so long, man. People just don't know what a fan I am of it. When I was able to commentate, when what was it, Hustle One, who I wrestled for, they owned Pride, right? And so they would cross promote. And when I got to commentate with Morrow and Boss, Fry's fight, and I was there at Sapp's fight. And man, I know Barnett when he was the babyface assassin. Krokop asked me to go to Croatia and train with him. I told him he was freaking crazy. I'm so lucky to be alive and be able to appreciate the things that I have learned to appreciate in the martial arts world. And I mean, I was at the Tokyo Dome in front of 100,000 people in the ring, standing across from Ogawa, right? Who was fighting at Pride at the time. And he also wrestled kind of like Sakuraba.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm thinking Sahakibara, who was, Sakuraba. But man, the first time I wrestled in Japan was at the Budokan. I am so honored. I've been such a fan of martial arts for my entire life. I think it comes second to playing football because I took martial arts for the first time at University of Georgia to help with being a better football player. And it just stuck, and I co-owned a Muay Thai gym in Oceanside, California. And then I got to hang out. I got to be a part of Glory. And then I got to go to Amsterdam and train with Rico. And man, Simon Marcus was a huge fan of mine growing up. And then it was in San Diego and I did part of the event there. And now I just did a promo for one, championship with the big fight coming up this weekend.
I saw you walk out with Liam Harrison.
Dude, freaking Liam, he hung him up and then picked him up again. But I'm going to see Liam. Yeah, I'm going to see him soon. He's doing a tour in the States right now, a training seminar tour. And I may see him at one in Denver, in the upcoming months. And it'll be a year. And, I'm just, again, so honored. Hell, I was, I can't even remember shark fights.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Eric Apple.
Yeah.
I mean, I am so honored to know all of these people, to train with Sam Greco, to train at Cor Hemmer's freaking gym. Cor Hemmer's freaking gym in Amsterdam, to train with those guys. Boss and those guys are going to be up in Austin in a couple of months. And I'm going to go up and say hello and, get my new gear from them because I'm going to freaking need it here soon. But again, you brought it up and I can talk for days about it. But the luck that I have had to be around so many badass martial artists and know them as friends. I pulled Fry and Coleman out of one of those bars, I guess at 2:00 in the morning, the night before Randleman's fight where he knocked Krokop out.
What? What do you mean?
Yeah. No, nothing. You heard me.
Okay. All right. That's
someone else heard me too, probably. But yeah, I'm just so lucky to know these dudes as friends of mine. They're idols of other people, and they're idols of mine too. Dan Severn, I'll never forget. Severn comes to see me in San Diego when we lived out there. And Gage was like 5 years old. And Gage, we're having breakfast. And the Beast, I don't know if you know it, but where I got this at the end of my when I'd spear a dude and jackhammer him and I stand up and do that, I got that from Dan, right? but I didn't want to steal characters. I want to steal parts of people to make a character. But Dan is sitting next to Gage, and Dan and I are engaged in this conversation. And freaking Gage is eating off of Dan's plate, and Dan doesn't see it. And I'm like, oh my God. Gage has no idea who this guy is. He's an idol of mine. He's one of the gnarliest dudes on the planet. I wonder what's going to happen if he catches Gage eating off of his plate. And man, he was as jovial, he was as interactive and as much fun with Gage as I had ever could have asked or ever could have wished. And again, having those relationships with the baddest dudes on the planet. Bas Rutten was the first guy to ever show me Muay Thai, right? And I took it, and I wanted him. I remember we're upstairs in the pre-production room, I guess, for that fight. I think it was when LeBanner and Fry fought, and there's a whole nother story there. I got to be on your show again. You got to be on my new show.
I would love to. Can I just add? I love everything, and by the way, I don't want to keep you much longer because you've given us way more time than we could have asked. So we'll let you go in a couple of minutes, I promise. But could I just ask? Did Pride at any point post WCW, before you went to WWE, or post WWE that first run, the 1 year run? I feel like you would have been perfect for Pride because they love the pro wrestlers over there, right? Was there ever any talk of you fighting in Pride?
I've always kind of dabbled in the thought that I could have crossed over. Glory and I actually were closer than any promotion of me doing something like an exhibition. But I'll be honest with you, man. My abilities fall so short in what my expectation for myself would be as an outcome. In a sport like that, my injuries prevent me. It's hard for me to throw a right hand without breaking my hand or blowing my shoulder out. I'm not worried about getting hurt by other people. I'm worried about what's going to happen to my body once I connect with somebody. And I never was a wrestler, a true wrestler. And so I don't have that ground game, even though I was the co-owner of the largest MMA gym in the freaking country back in the early 90s, right? Obaki Fight School, look it up. To do a crossover like that, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't around when the Mike Tyson money was around to make him lower to the point of getting in the ring with Jake Paul. For the amount of money he did, I don't blame him, right? I don't think that type of money was around, or I might have really considered it, but I always have such a high expectation of myself. If I don't feel as though I'm prepared, I'm not gonna take that chance in front of national television, just for the sake of money and doing it.
Okay. Last thing, you mentioned one more match. You put it at 99%. I guess in the world of pro wrestling, you can never say 100%, but it seems like you want that one match. If for whatever reason it doesn't seem like it is materializing with WWE, are you willing to do it elsewhere? Obviously, there's the AEWs, and I've heard you talk about talking to them and it just not being a fit. But there's, doing your own thing. Ric Flair did that. There's promotions all over the place. Does it have to be? I
wanted to do my own thing in Israel, but I don't over the last number of years. But COVID hit, and then the war hit.
Right.
And so it's the timing, obviously someone's telling me that's not the place to do it. Right. So, or maybe it is. Maybe, who knows? Again, you can never say never. You can never close the door on anything. And I can't foresee the future or forecast the future. So I don't know, man. I really don't. I can't honestly give you an answer.
But you want one more.
100%, because there's a lot of people walking the planet that have no idea who I am. Right.
And that bothers you.
They need, well, yeah, a little bit, because they seem to forget who I was, right? They only base it on what they read on the internet or the choice clips that they are given. And, the fact is, if you look at my social media as of late, I did some pretty amazing things, and it's extremely rare for me to give myself any kudos, but I don't see anybody else walking around with the Big Show for, 30 seconds around the ring when he's upside down weighing 525. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. And by the way, that team, because I have seen your stuff and I've seen what they've done over the last 10 days or so, the social media team, they're doing a great job. I enjoy what they're putting out, and it's great reliving that, because As you know, I was a huge fan, and I haven't told you this, but there was a period in the pandemic where not much was going on. And I have 2 boys, like I said, and this is, several years ago. And I started to show them pro wrestling because, we had a lot of time at home. And I didn't push them in this direction, but for some reason or another, just like many other kids, they were drawn to you. And they don't ask me about anyone, or they don't pop when I tell them about anyone being on the show. But I told them last night, who's going to be on? Bill Goldberg. And they were like, holy crap, Bill Goldberg, that's amazing. Tell him we say hi. 12 and 11, Oliver and Walter. So you mean a lot to a lot of people. You are a legend, and I'm glad you're getting at least one more. And I'm so glad and honored that you gave us all this time here today. Really, really a pleasure, and I appreciated every second of it.
Ariel, I've always been a fan of yours. You knew that the first time we met. And I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate the way you do it. You do it with respect for the business and yourself. And you tell your kids, and you give your kids a big hug for me, and tell them that they're the reason why I kept my name Goldberg and did what I did, because I wanted to give kids like me growing up somebody to look up to, man. And that warms my heart that they would think that of me, and I'm greatly appreciative because, maybe through osmosis they got it from you.
Love it. Thank you, Bill. All the best to you and the family. Good luck. Hope to do it again soon.
Sadi Cup.
There he is, the great Bill Goldberg. What a freaking legend. What a pleasure that was. Oh, my gosh. I loved everything about that. And shout out to Mr. Burks, who I believe is tuning in. Big Goldberg guy.
Shout out.
I mean, who isn't? Who isn't?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's because of Georgia. That's why
Yeah.
I was into him. Thought it was so cool that he became a professional wrestling after his football career.
A freaking legend, a Georgia legend, had that stint in the NFL. And then, in anticipation of this interview, I was rewatching and reliving some of his old stuff, and there was nothing like it. There was nothing like it. And he came at a time where WCW really needed a really strong baby face to combat the NWO as they were, battling WWF. Attitude Era. Here he is coming in, freak athlete, going 100 miles an hour. And yes, elephant in the room. I adore Bret Hart, and you know that there has been a back and forth, and there's been a lot of things said. But I can separate the two, and have a lot of respect for Bill, and have the love and admiration and respect that I have for Bret as well. And I love those old chats, and love the fact that he's getting one more. Everyone deserves the opportunity to go out on their own terms if they can. He is very clearly in the physical shape to be able to do so. So we wish him well. And I think a match against a Braun Breaker would be awesome, a passing of the torch, or a Gunther. They had that schmoz, if you will. They had that at Bad Blood in Atlanta back in October. So let's see how it all pans out. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Let's answer a few more questions, and then go to the Super Chats and call it a day. What do you say, guys?
I love it.
Goldberg really knows his shit, by the way.
We got to bring Goldberg back for that MMA chat
it was
that you were about to
amazing.
have.
He really knows his stuff.
It's also we didn't even really get into he had that giant garage behind him housing $1 million worth of cars.
Yeah, that's all nice, but I want to hear about the stories with the boys at the bar. I want to hear about pulling Coleman out.
You're gonna have to go deep with him on that, and then we'll have him on Boys in the Back, and we'll just talk NASCAR for
That's right. Yeah, that's right. He's got Goldberg's garage. Look at that. Yeah, he's got a YouTube channel where it's all about the cars. He mentioned this new show with Paramount Plus. I'm not a big I appreciate what that is. I don't know what that is. There are people who could tell you what is that, by the way? Is he
It looks like the frame of a Dodge Challenger or something.
Yeah.
He's not a big fan of the Teslas.
Yeah, well, Rick got hurt from that back here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, Rick.
Look, again, pending legal matters as well. We're not gonna.
Yeah, that's right.
I understand that, by the way, and I'm somebody who grew up reading Motor Trend and loved cars and still kind of love cars, but as a car guy, I would understand why you wouldn't want to. Tesla is more tech than automobile. It's more of a gadget person's car than it is a car guy's car. So I would completely understand that. He's very much a car guy's.
Can I tell you guys something? So there's little things that make me very happy in life, and obviously a lot of my life revolves around booking guests, as you guys know, as I've talked about. And the little things that make me truly happy is like that feeling on a Sunday morning as I'm walking around the park and I'm like, I'm going to give Bill Goldberg a text, like a shot in the dark, and he'll respond in 3 minutes, and it's that easy. Yep. No PR person, no nothing. Like that made my day. And then just like how responsive and how nice he is. I mean, I use the word mensch all the time, and I talk about like the intricacies of booking a guest. Like, oh, are they a WhatsApp guy? Are they a text guy? Are they a DM guy? Are they go through a manager, go through a sibling, a coach, a friend, a wife, a brother? Like, you can name any fighter on the planet, and I'll give you the breakdown. But there are very, very few fighters, very few. I'll say 0.001%. who will do the thing that I do. When the show is over, one of the first things I do is go through the whole list of the people that came on the show and who helped get them on the show and text them, thank you, I appreciate it. There is a 0.0001% of them out there who will text me right away. The guy just texted me. That is, and to consider like who he is and what he's done, and I know that doesn't define people, but like that shit actually blows me away because we deal with all of them. I'm not saying the ones who don't, are bad people, but it's just it's a next level.
Not to further the love train, but like some of that stuff he was talking about, working with Glory, San Diego, those events. I was the one running like PR for those events, and I would ask him. Obviously, naturally, he has a name that when you're trying to make a splash in the U.S. market means more to U.S. audiences and U.S. media publications and things like that than necessarily like a Rico Verhoeven, especially at that time. And I would set up these interviews, and nobody was a faster response and a better pro than Bill Goldberg. Like it was true then for me, not somebody like you who could be like, I'm Ariel Helwani and I have a relationship with him. Just the PR guy for Glory, and he always made my life easy. He's a true one of one.
Here's a pertinent question. Shy. Hey, Ariel, when having back-to-back interviews, how do you go about putting everything you just heard from one fighter to the back of your head to give your full attention to the next fighter you're talking about? I notice you will have a fairly deep conversation with a fighter, and as soon as the interview is over, the next guest comes on, and you'll transition so smoothly. I don't know. I guess just doing it all these years. I don't really understand any of it. Really, it's you go into this trance. The best way I could describe it is there's a part of me that kind of like hates how the sausage is made because I always lament like the booking and all that stuff. But I don't know if I am happier as a human being than in the 3 or so hours when I'm doing the show because I don't think about anything else. I guess it's the closest to what I've heard fighters talk about a fight, which is a lot shorter. But like you have to have such tunnel vision. You don't think about your problems. You don't think about your appointments. You don't think about social media. You don't think about what you have to do tomorrow or tonight. You have to be so locked in, and that's a gift. And you probably get that if you work out and you're able to put your phone away, or if you're able to be better about your like the gift of not being connected in any way, shape, or form. Email, text, whatever is an amazing gift. And so I don't know. I stay locked in and try to be ready to go. Keen, Ariel, do you think the Lakers will win the NBA title? If not, who's your pick? He said you can't say the Knicks. I will always say the Knicks. I will say if it's not going to be the Knicks, I feel like we are trending towards an OKC versus Cleveland or OKC versus Boston final. And if I had to pick right now, I think it's going to be Cleveland. I think Cleveland is an incredible team. They're incredibly well coached. I stress the word team. I thought what they did at the deadline was fantastic, the Hunter trade. And can I just say one thing? This thing that I keep seeing from people who are like, this isn't a sexy finals, who cares about this? You should never speak about the NBA if you are not intrigued, interested by OKC versus Cleveland. If the only thing you have to say is not big markets, OKC, Cleveland, boring, you're not excited about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in his first finals, if that's what we're going towards. You're not excited about Chet Holmgren. You're not excited. To me, OKC is must-see TV. I don't care if they're playing the Wizards, the Magic, the Spurs, the Pelicans. OKC is must-see TV. And I'll admit, I love Shai. He's Canadian. Lou Dort, Canadian. But that team, I love Hartenstein because of what he did for the Knicks for those 3 or so years. You don't appreciate the Cavs? You don't appreciate Donovan Mitchell. You don't appreciate Darius Garland, Mobley, the trade for Hunter. You don't appreciate what they've been able to do and how they were able to, regroup after last season's disappointment. You don't appreciate the Celtics. I hate the Celtics, but I appreciate them. Like this idea that you have to be the Lakers, the Knicks, a big market, a sexy team. Get out of here with this nonsense. And I see it. I see it all the time. I think the Thunder are incredibly entertaining, and I think the Cavs are as well. I'd be down for a OKC Cavs final. In fact, I'd prefer that because I'm tired of the Celtics, and I'm just salty towards them. But yeah, I'd be down. I would love that actually, and I would. My only gripe with the Thunder is that they were the Sonics, and I have a thing about. The fans didn't do anything. They didn't steal the Sonics away, but the Sonics should have never moved, and it's near and dear to my heart. And the Sonics and the Expos aren't the same situation. But I can't imagine being a Seattle fan and thinking like, golly, could you imagine if we had these guys, or if we had the Durant, Westbrook, Harden, 2011 finalists? It sucks, and I feel for them. So that's the only thing I don't like about the Thunder. I don't like rooting for teams that have moved, but Shea is just butter. I saw Shea against the Knicks in January, and I was just blown away by how smooth he was. And I saw him in the Olympics as well, but like seeing him against the Knicks in January, they kicked the Knicks' ass, and he was just it's so effortless for him.
It's unreal how good Shea is.
He's unbelievable, the guy.
And he's the third best player in the NBA, which is the crazy part. Like
third best player. Who do you have as number one? Jokic?
Yeah, Jokic.
But then Shea's winning MVP.
Oh yeah, Shea's the MVP, no doubt.
Shea Butter was nice there by you.
Yeah,
that's right. Who's
Shea's
number two then?
MVP. Giannis or Luka. You can fill in one of those guys, and then Shea. Nah, come on, stop. Giannis is better than
That's
Shea.
debatable. At this juncture, that's debatable. I'll give you Jokic.
Jokic is a no-brainer. There's nobody better than that guy.
Yeah, but
Giannis.
Luka too.
Yeah, Luka's still better too. Look, I love Shea. He's great. He's fantastic. He's not above Giannis. Giannis is still there.
Tyler asks how many brackets I fill out. I'm a one bracket guy. Meaning I will have I have something with my kids. I got something, the Uncrowned one. There's a Yahoo Sports one. But I can't have multiple brackets. I need to be rooting for one team.
I would dare say if you fill out multiple brackets, you're conning the system.
Yeah, it's no fun.
You're lame. I'm with you.
One
Just
bracket.
Do the one.
One bracket.
You can have it in as many pools as you want, but one bracket.
I had High Point in one of my 9 brackets. We don't care.
Useless.
We don't care.
No, and also it's not fun.
No, do the one.
Do the one.
You ain't getting the perfect one, so just do the one.
Go all in. Have you ever gone 16-0 on Thursday or Friday?
No. I think the best I've ever done is like 14-2.
Yeah, I think I once went 15-1, but I don't think I've ever gone 16-0.
Across Thursday and Friday though, it's actually 32 games.
Yeah, of course. No, I just meant on Thursday or Friday. Yeah. No, on one singular day, I've never gone.
Nah, neither have I.
Undefeated. Ariel, baked beans. I know it's a running joke that whenever Frank is called out on something after the show, he'll call you up and go, "Hey, man." So in the show earlier, it made me think, how many times has this actually happened? And what's the one that springs to mind the most? Could you believe this question? Frank, I mean, come on.
I can believe it.
Really?
It's become a thing.
Okay.
Hey, man.
That's right. That's it. There's a little
bit more breath to it though.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
No, that's not it.
Yeah. How often do you think it's happened? Truthfully,
probably not even that much.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. The way you said exactly there was
hey,
strong.
Man. Exactly.
Okay. Adam Nelson asks about the new TKO boxing. By the way, have you seen this report from Boxing Scene about what the proposed? Now, I'm not verifying these, but they did put out this report about what the purses would be. This has everyone in the boxing business all up in arms. Oh, there it is. $20,000 for a 10-round bout by an unranked fighter. $50,000 when ranked by the quote-unquote company at number 5 to 10. $125,000 when ranked by the company at 3 to 4. $375 when challenging for the company championship. $750 when defending the company championship. You know what's my reaction to this? The top half is actually pretty good. It's the bottom half that's going to be the problem. $750, $375, if accurate. if accurate. Hey, this is from Emil. Ariel, why did you let your subordinates bully you into pronouncing iron instead of iron when you were introducing Mike Tyson? You say Tyron, not Tyern, right? That's a little ironic, or ironic, as Rick and GC probably would say. English is not my first language, but by the way, so I have no idea what I'm talking about, B. Just annoyed at the lack of respect of the alphabet. That is
iron! This is what we heard.
Yeah. David Velasquez says, I know you have a great deal of respect for Dave Meltzer. Don't you think his pro AEW stance has done more harm than good? Honestly, I see this pop up from time to time. I stay as far away from it. I think it's all craziness. I enjoy pro wrestling. Most importantly, I enjoy talking to the wrestlers. That's the thing I enjoy the most. I'm not sitting there watching, all 15 hours of pro wrestling that's available to us each and every week. I don't sit there rooting for one organization over the other, contrary to any popular belief. And I'd like to think someone like Dave doesn't as well. But if he does, and if that's a thing, I wouldn't know about it because I just don't. I don't pay attention to on that level. What else? Just a couple more here. Anything else? Hi, Ariel from Domber Netty. Few quick rapid fire questions. Is there an interview you wish you could redo? Yes, every single one. No,
really?
Not every single one, but I'm never really truly content, happy. Is there one that I wish I could redo? I'll tell you one line that always pisses me off. When I did the interview with Dana White, where he announced the purchase of Strikeforce, two things pissed me off about that. I said it, and I should have let him say it. That pisses me off. And I said that the UFC bought Strikeforce, and I should have said Zuffa bought Strikeforce. And that always has annoyed me. In terms of other interviews that I wish I could redo, I mean, I think of like the ones that I didn't particularly like. But there's way more that I liked. I don't know. Are there any like?
Can I play devil's advocate?
Please.
Like, what would you do different about the Goldberg interview or Jalen Turner this week? Like, those are great. So I could just have a hard time believing that you're like.
So the Jalen Turner one, I felt like I could have been a little smoother. He was great. I don't think I was great. The Goldberg one was great. My only gripe about that one is like I wish I had more time because there was so much more that I wanted to ask him. But I'm at peace with that one.
I think to Frank's point, like I feel similarly as somebody outside it who watches it. The magic of it is the moment, and it's never going to be perfect. There is no. So you put somebody in that position who is great at what they do and can strive for perfection and tries it. And if it falls a little bit short, it falls a little bit short. But ultimately, the product is always going to be pretty high quality. And so, I don't know, the live like nature of it, the rawness is the appeal.
I appreciate that. No, that is true. I don't know. I'm just like Bill. I would say somewhat hypercritical and very extremely critical of my performances. The way I speak, the way I act, the way I deliver, the way I pronounce things. Pudding Boy asks, hey, Ariel, last week you mentioned that you're a big fan of Megyn Kelly's podcast. I'm curious why that is, considering that you always mention the importance of journalism and its integrity, and yet Megyn Kelly on many occasions seems to show she represents the exact opposite of that. Well, first of all, I didn't say that I was a fan of it because, like, I'm a fan of her as a journalist per se. There's many different things that I'm a fan of that I'm that don't always go like into the journalism funnel. Why am I a fan of the podcast? I'll tell you, I really enjoyed her conversation. Can I recommend a podcast to you guys? There was a conversation. I know this is off topic. I'll get back to it. There's a podcast called Honestly, hosted by a journalist named Barry Weiss, who is a woman, just for the record. So it's Barri, or actually it might be Bari. And the podcast is Honestly. She's the editor of the Free Press. And she had Andrew Schultz on, and I had to text Andrew about this because I thought it was one of his best interviews ever. Because when he's interviewed by a comic or when he's on his show, he's great. But I felt like And I feel like sometimes it's like a tit for tat. Anything you could say, I could say in a funnier way. It's like this competition. But him being interviewed by a journalist, who I think does a great job, brought out this whole different side of him. And there was serious stuff talked about, fun stuff, family stuff, phenomenal. So I really enjoyed that. I do think, if I can offer a criticism of Megyn Kelly, for anyone who cares, she is way overboard. I'm not a fan of biased journalism. I 100%. I 100%, like, if this is the tone of the question here, I'm 100% in agreement to that. I still can't get over the fact that if I were to have gone on ESPN SportsCenter and said, I hope Khabib kicks Conor McGregor's ass, I would have been reprimanded. You can't say that sort of thing when you're delivering the news, when you're speaking as like a journalist. And yet in the world of politics, it's not only like understood, it's encouraged to be biased. I don't understand that. And so when she was on Fox, I felt like that wasn't really her thing. In fact, she sparred with Donald Trump a lot, but now she's very clearly all the way to the right. And so when I said that I liked it, if you recall, I said I liked the morning update thing because it was like a 15-minute digestible, and it is slanted a little bit, I will agree. But I think what she has built post NBC is commendable, and there's like an entertainment value to it. But I sit there sometimes listening, being like, this is a little much. And so I haven't been able to find the sweet spot, because there's other podcasts that are on the other side that I find to be a little much as well. I try to sample as much as possible, and I've noticed lately that I try to sample less and less sports pods, and maybe this is just a sign of me growing up, and more of the real world stuff. And I kind of jones for that. Because there's only so much sports that you could take. But mainly what I'm drawn to are good interviewers. And I think that she is, I would say she is a good interviewer. So if you could strip away the opinion, the bias, the politics, I think you can see what I'm seeing or hearing. But I can understand. Not everyone's cup of tea. Is what it is. Hey, Charlie. Hey, Ariel. Serious question here. So please treat it with the severity it deserves. How's it feel to be the fucking man? Inquiring minds would like to know. Shout out BITB. I appreciate that.
I'm alpha.
Yeah.
It's in the basement.
Hell yeah. Ali says, hi, Ariel. I was going to comment this week asking if you've seen Louis Theroux's interview with Leon Edwards until you mentioned it on Monday. So my question is, what is your favorite Louis Theroux documentary? Actually, it was the one where he tried to become a pro wrestler. He went to the he went to the power plant. It's a great one. If you type in Louis Theroux pro wrestling, it's a great look at the business, because he spends a lot of time with WCW, and he sees Goldberg at one point in the hallway of an arena. But then goes like on the real indie scene, meets up with Sarge. It's a great one. That's by far my favorite one. Obviously, it hits close to home, just because it's something that I'm, very into. But I think he's great, and I would love to have him on the program. We've DM'd, but we haven't quite nailed it down. And he was at the Misfits Prime card in Manchester in 23, and I was there as well. And I just wanted to shake his hand, but didn't happen. Frankie, any super chats?
Super chats.
And by the way, thank you to everyone who sent in questions. Appreciate you all. Love you all. Thought they were good ones. So thank you.
Speaking of a good one, JN writes, why hasn't GFL announced a show? For example, LA in May.
Well, that was something that we addressed earlier. I don't know. It's perhaps I need to reconnect with them, but this would be me speculating, but maybe there's, some broadcast plans they're trying to nail down, fighter contracts, matchups, etc., etc., etc. But yes, developing story. What else?
Duncan says, a massive thank you to New York Rick for wearing the MAGA hat yesterday.
Wow.
We appreciate his support.
I just want to correct the record. That's actually
wow. Look at you,
Hagler.
Hey, they clipped that off on the Top Rank socials.
They're smart over there. Top Rank, temp rank, knows ball.
You look good in it, man.
Thank you, brother.
You look good.
a quick like that, it's like, oh yeah, I know that hat.
You know? But yeah, shout out to Top Rank. Thanks for sending. Hagler Hearns anniversary coming up April 15th.
Oh yeah, 40th.
War.
What else?
Joseph K. asks, which fighter would you most want to see become champion, and why is it Arnold Allen?
You know, there's a few guys that you would have to put in that category. By the way, what was that 10 with the...
they've asked 10 questions.
Oh, wow. Or I thought maybe like 10 years. Imagine they were a 10-year subscriber to the channel, but there was a period of 10 years there where we did nothing on the channel. In any event, Arnold, Cory, who goes in this category? I know there's a million of them. Like the just like true nice guys.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing old Dustin Poirier.
DP. I mean,
undisputed gold before it's all over.
At the top of the list, yeah. Yeah, I mean...
That's more of like a sentimental, old school part of me, you know? It's not necessarily like Dustin... but, man, it'd be nice. He really wants it.
Arnold is...
Honestly, Dan Hooker, too. Dan Hooker's talked about all he wants is that one night with the strap in bed. He wants to wake up and have the belt in the bed when he wakes up that one night. It wouldn't break my... it would break my heart to not have them have that moment.
Arnold Allen as UFC champion would be incredible.
The tweets would be...
That would be amazing.
Tweets would be next level.
Is Arnold Allen frontrunner for Composta Tweeter of the Year?
He's having a good year.
He's having a good year. He's fantastic. What else?
Terrence writes, John saying he needs 6 months to fight Tom after fighting the equivalent of Jake versus Mike. It's like Jake saying he needs a year to fight Nate in MMA. Or me fighting smaller guys and someone my size comes and says, I'm like, nah, fam.
So, first of all, John didn't say it. I said it. And second of all, like, yeah, he's older and he wants to prepare. And that's like, are you surprised? John Jones said no to Chael Sonnen on 10 days' notice. Now, if it's 5 months away, does he bend his stance? Who knows? But he has always been this guy. There are some guys who just don't want short training camps. And as they get older, they especially don't want them. So I don't think it's a crazy thing.
We also have to be like, these two things are opposing. If Tom Aspinall is as good as everybody says he is, and is such a crazy fight for John Jones, and we can't wait for it, it also has to be true that A, he deserves the $30 million whatever number dollar payday, and two, that he deserves to take 6 months to prepare for it if it's that big a challenge. Like, these things have to be necessarily equate. So if we're just going to say, like, yeah, John Jones, go fight Tom Aspinall on 3 months' notice for X price that's not the price that you want, then Tom isn't the challenge that we've built him up to be. If he is that challenge, John deserves to be paid what he deserves to be paid and deserves to have as long a training camp as he needs for it. So, yeah, he's fucking John Jones. He should have as long as he needs to train for Tom Aspinall.
Agreed.
Because Tom is that big a challenge. I agree with everybody. I think Tom is that big a challenge. So he deserves that.
What else?
Sucker Free asks, I know a lot of your interviews sometimes come together last minute, but would it be possible for us to submit questions? Pre-approved, of course. I understand if it ruins the integrity of your show.
It doesn't ruin the integrity at all. Would you believe at one point in time when we were here at AOL on this particular floor in this particular building, we used to take in phone calls for the guests. There was actually a time where I believe when it was Dana White and Mike Tyson on together, we took some phone calls. Made it a little complicated, but I've never loved the hey, I've got this guy coming on the show. You got any questions? Like, I feel like you should be able to figure it out. And you know, I'm sure that some people will come up with good ones, but I don't know. I feel like I could do it. It's just a different kind of chat when you start to go. But by the way, great responses can come about from those. Speaking of which, are we mentioning something about calls?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Okay, what do we got?
Well, it's still
work?
Infancy.
Okay, so let's not mention
All
it.
right.
All right, fine.
Like a little teaser, you know.
Well,
Plus Money MMA.
What else?
Thank you. What's the odds a New Orleans card really happens?
Oh, that's a thing. That's definitely a thing. That's definitely something that they want, and something that, remember, they were supposed to do DC in New Orleans. Was it June of 2016? I think it was, maybe 17, and then everything changed. but there was a plan. I think they went ahead with the card, but DC got moved. Something like that happened. Anyway, it's a thing. It would be great. Let us see. What else?
All right, give me a second on this one.
Okay.
Hanashi MMA asks, New York Rick, did you discuss New York Ricking a trip to Iowa? 17-hour car trip there from New York.
Oh.
Hashtag champion shit only, LOL. I New York Ricked a trip to Toronto and got interrogated. LOL. Also, shout out to Frank. He follows me on Twitter.
Wow. Hanashi.
I'm aware of Hanashi because he sent us the video like after the fact that he went and did the trip and like got a video interview, I believe. He went to like an MMA gym and got an interview. No, and for the simple reason that we are on a short timeline. We have to get into town Saturday and then back out of town Sunday morning. There is not time to drive to make these things happen. We want to be here for the Times Square boxing card that is happening on Friday. We do not want to miss that, and so we have to fly in Saturday morning for Iowa.
Oh. And what does he mean when he says New York Ricket?
No sleep, straight drive, do the damn thing.
No hotel.
No hotel, just drive.
Crush a few beers to jazz you
No,
up.
no beers. We don't drink and drive. What are you talking about? Come on.
No.
But no, there will be no New York Rick in this one. The Tesla staying in the garage, but we're flying.
Smart. What else?
Jose asks, since I'll be supporting with one chat per week, I'm curious, does this go towards the team vacation fund? Ariel's Westphalia, Rick's Gallup here?
You know what? It just goes into the pot that supports the show. And that's not
talking about earlier.
By the way, that's not no. Yes, that pot. And that's not me being coy, by the way. Like it's like when you have a sponsor like Averon, like NordVPN, like our good friends here at Celsius, who are probably my favorite of all sponsors. No, I shouldn't say that, but I do love them very, very much. If only because we just have them sit here and they're great and we love them. That goes into like a revenue pot. And so that's where this goes. Trust me, it doesn't just like go off into the ether. Now, I did always wonder where it went at Vox, but I know specifically where it goes here. I am 100% certain of that. And it is appreciated. It is appreciated. I would love to get that Westphalia. I saw, by the way, last weekend, the Volkswagen ID.
Did you test drive it?
No. It was in a parking lot. It was parked. My kids saw it and they're like, oh, there it is. Because we talk about it all the time. And both they and I were disappointed when it's kind of like a minivan.
Is it the new version of the Westphalia?
Oh yeah, have you not seen it?
I think I have.
It's
what
fully
makes it a
electric.
minivan in your mind?
The seating. It's just like Rose. It's not like the Westphalia has the
because exterior
benches.
it is that bus. It is that it doesn't have.
It's like a modernized version of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the inside literally is just a minivan.
Yeah, so it's not as cool. It's also 100% electric.
Am I wrong?
And I'm not into that soy boy electric stuff, if I'm being honest.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
You're about to make some enemies.
No, I'm kidding.
I thought when it was first announced, I thought they had configurations where you could do like the benches, but I guess they ultimately went.
Well, I'll say the one that I saw was just like a straight up minivan.
No, I mean he just looked it up, and I'm seeing I'm seeing the rows like a standard thing. But when it was first announced, because I was looking for an electric like 3-row, and they don't really have great options. That was coming out, and I was looking into it.
Oh, you were?
And they had the like open seating like benches on the side and then in the back row floor plan, but I guess they didn't end up with that.
What do you think of it, GC?
Yeah, it's a nice looking car. Looks like a modern electric Westphalia.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. By the way, some breaking news I'm seeing here.
Oh.
I probably was too excited. No, No, I'm very excited about this. I see NBA Inside Stuff might be coming back next year with the NBA going to NBC. I mean, I grew up on that show. Willow Bay, Ahmad Rashad.
I was about to say, is Ahmad coming back? What?
Listen, you talk about Saturday morning cartoons. A little later in the day, after Saved by the Bell at around 11:30.
Hell yeah.
The Inside Stuff with Ahmad and Willow. I mean, that was the best.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I cannot.
No, I'm genuinely asking. Is Ahmad Rashad coming back to this?
I would love it. I'm just kind of reading the top line.
That'd be
headline
amazing.
Here, but I cannot freaking wait for the NBA to be back on NBC.
Aren't they remixing Round Ball Rock? Didn't we?
No. Please don't touch that. Don't touch what?
I thought we said that on the show one week. I thought that was like one of the breaking news developments.
No. Please, God, no. Just keep it.
Just keep it as is.
Yes. perfect. It's perfect just the way it is. What else?
We got two more. Jason writes, Rico versus Alex would be good.
Ooh, wow. That would be good. But it's not going to happen. I mean, no. But listen, guys, what about the fact that I pulled that Rico versus Francis thing totally out of my back pocket? Like, that was not a thing at all. Like, that was just pie in the sky. And now they're actually talking about it? That's pretty fun.
Glory 100?
Yo, seems perfect. Seems a little too soon for that. I mean, that's in 3 months.
Road trip?
To Rotterdam?
Down.
I mean, the last time this happened, you guys booked flights without me. So I don't know. I'm afraid to...
Who the now fuck we're saying it out in the open. You coming?
Good one, Frankie. What else?
Finally, Sleeto asks, on the topic of Ariel's interview blunders.
Oh, wow.
How about dropping the ball when Rico offered to break the opponent news on your show? You no-sold him.
Oh, by the way, I didn't like take it like that. I took it as he's going to break the news at some press conference and then he's going to come on to talk about it.
Also, maybe not so fast. The news isn't out yet, you know?
Yeah, chill out,
maybe it does happen, Sleeto.
Is Sleeto a hater or what?
No.
He's a big fan.
Okay.
Sleeto's
taking the piss or whatever you call it.
I think he thinks so highly of you. He saw an opportunity there. He's like, oh, you can just go, yeah, Rico, please break it on our show. Because Rico said, how about I bring it to you? Guess what, Sleeto? Who knows? Could still be.
Yeah,
news isn't out yet.
Guess what, Sleeto?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay.
Who knows?
We'll see.
By the way, Rick.
Shout out Sleeto.
Yeah.
Being the resident kickboxing expert here, who was he talking about?
The opponent?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got nothing. The only ones on the Glory roster would be uninteresting to me, just because like Rico has been around and literally beaten everybody. It has to be somebody outside of it. Otherwise, I have no idea.
Okay.
And I would love something kind of off the beaten path, but I don't have any insight into it.
All right. That was the last one, right, Frankie?
That's correct.
By the way, I wanted to mention, we had a great show yesterday. Ade and I, that's on the DAZN Boxing YouTube channel. We had the Towering Inferno, Sebastian Fundora on, who's a great fighter. 6'5", 154 pounds. WBO and WBC 154-pound champion. I mean, he's a sight to behold. We've had a couple of those guys. I'm not sure if we've ever had a 6 foot, like Corey Hill was pretty, may he rest in peace. I think he was 6'3". 6'5", 154 is incredible. And then we got into this debate, like who's the most talented brother-sister duo in combat sports. Certainly in boxing, it's got to be the Fundoras or the Dubois. Caroline, Daniel, Sebastian, Gabriella. Anyway, we also had Shernika Sugarneeks Johnson, who's competing on that Sydney card this weekend on Saturday on DAZN, the Matchroom card. And you'll recall that there was that big controversy. Her and Nina Hughes fought in May, and the ring announcer announced that Nina won the fight, and then he screwed up, and then he went back. Anyway, they're going to run it back. They've been putting out some really great content leading up to that fight card. The Cambosis face-off yesterday, they had it in some sort of like Fight Club setting. Did you guys see this? With all, it sounds like I'm setting it up to show, but I don't have the clip. I didn't send it earlier. But anyway, go check it out on the Matchroom socials. They I think did a great job with some of these, so I'm looking forward to that. Go check that out. And there's a lot of stuff coming up this weekend. UFC London, that card in Sydney, the Fundora fight in the evening. I feel like there might be one other thing that I'm forgetting about, but who knows? The beauty is there's much more content to come. What's on the Bots in the Basement tomorrow?
We're gonna deep dive on London.
Oh yeah,
I feel like that's the way to go.
Hell yeah, there's a lot of meat on that bone.
Should we reveal the pound for pound?
Oh, what do we got?
Oh, Jordan.
Let me guess.
No, Jordan says no.
Why? No, you don't tell me the pound for pound. Just tell me what the topic is. It's a good old fashioned tease.
No, Jordan said no.
Why?
Jordan,
you just said it right there.
Well,
good old fashioned tease. Top 5 teas.
Is that it?
UFC London.
The top 5 teases?
No,
no,
not teases. Teas.
Oh, okay.
In honor of UFC London, the best teas.
Oh, teas.
Yeah. That's not actually it.
Oh, wow. Like peppermint.
I have a feeling
matcha.
this is my sense, and he's going to confirm for me in a second. we had an idea. I think he now has a better idea that he wants to pitch us, and he was like, "No, don't say it until I get
Is it London inspired?
For sure.
Yeah, we're doing something.
Is it England inspired or specific to London?
No, we'll do England. We'll do
okay.
England.
UK
Best
inspired.
movie set in London.
Best movie set.
Exactly.
In London.
Movie set in London. The best movies that were set in
Jesus. I thought you were talking about like movie sets. Like, there's a soundstage over.
That too. The best movie sets.
Yeah.
Best sound stages found in London.
Yeah, over in Essex, there's a great one. It's 60,000 square feet. All right. And then, of course, the Crack will take us home on Friday evening. I do have some exciting news for the loyal OG audience out there. A lot of you asking about, you remember we used to do the 3 Pac post show, right? Myself, Pizzi, and Chuck over at the Ringer. We need more. Well, part of the problem is it's like 6 a.m. when the pay-per-views end. We don't want to kill poor Pete C. But I can tell you, because it's a London card in the afternoon on Saturday, right here on the channel, will be myself, Pizzi, and Chuck, the man in the hat, the mayor of the Nutmeg State, recapping it all as we will say goodbye to that card and then be back here. At least I will be back here on Monday to do it all over again, and some guests already coming to fruition for next week already. So it should be a fun one. Time to go. Hey, I'm doing that Randy Brown Tiny Desk thing later today.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So we got to go. I'm done. Enjoy your
real quick
your bracketology. Yes,
to the chat, because I don't know if you know this, we have closed captioning turned on for most of our streams.
Okay.
Earlier today, according to the chat, it referred to Pizzi as pizza.
Oh, wow.
His name is not Pizza. For those who are watching on mute, he is actually Pizzi, not Pete C, as you just called him. Pizzi, not Pizza. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you clearing that up. No, that's good stuff. That is good stuff. Thank you, Frankie. Yes, it is Pizzi.
Good stuff.
When I get my when I'm in my car, you guys ever have that thing where like the text pops up when you're in your car, which by the way I think is a very bad function, and I wish it wouldn't happen. When the CarPlay is active, and so when I click on it to hear the text, because I don't want to text and drive, the voice refers to him as Pedicy.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I've gotten a Pedicy or two as well.
Pedicy says, so my kids always say, "Who's this Pedicy?" You know, Pizzi came to my house one time, and my daughter wouldn't stop crying. So
yeah, we
like,
heard about
is that
this,
the guy?
this endeavor. We heard about
is that the guy? I'm like, what were you so afraid of? I guess they're just not used to me having friends, so it was a very foreign concept to them for just a friend of mine. It's all about them. It's all about them, their friends, or their parents' friends. Can't have my own life. Anyway, what about that Bill Goldberg? What a time it was. Thank you very much to him. Thank you to Cory Sandhagen. Thank you to Rico Verhoeven. Thank you to Marshall Zelaznik. Congrats on the DAZN deal. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of them. Back on Thursday, same time, place, same